Thank you for your time. Hope you all are well. I will post a movie of the week after this live stream. This commentary is pertaining to Stephan STERNS' parents. They're interviewed with authorities. And even starting out listening to some of the information, I'm also questioning these people and who they are. And I'll chime in occasionally throughout the live pertaining to what they have to say. Thank you for your time.
Listen.
One moment, please.
I fix it up here. Always thirsty these days. We're both on diets. We're taking, she's taking Ozempic, I'm taking Rajaro. And I've lost nearly 40 pounds.
Wow.
28.
But I just have to keep hydrated all the time. It's just always thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for meeting with us this morning. This has been a long few days, long week, and I can imagine what it is for you guys.
Full of lots of surprises.
Yeah.
We're in the 7th grade now.
So the reason we made the trip down here today is I know you spoke to Alex, I think.
Alex,
Yeah, with Orange County, and may have spoke to Corporal Ilgen that works with us.
You see this tall, slim guy?
No,
I
he's. I think you may have talked to him out in the parking lot in Orange County.
Yeah.
Bald guy, probably wearing a SWAT shirt.
No, that didn't do that. There was somebody else I thought was from Pacific PD, but and I thought actually you were him, but obviously not.
So
You're gonna look at me.
I appreciate it. But since I'm the lead detective and he's my partner in the case, we kind of want to get eyes and talk to everybody that's involved. That's the reason. So the reason we're here is basically trying to get a background of what you know about Stephan and Jennifer's relationship and that sort of thing and stuff like that. So we can do it one of two ways. I can just give you guys the floor and you can let us know what their dynamic was, or I could do it question and answer wise, whatever's more comfortable for you.
Well, if you do it question and answer wise, you'll get the answers that you wanted. If you let us sit here and ramble on for half an hour, you may not get what you want. You still have to ask the question.
Fair enough.
Well, now the mother, she's orchestrating it. She's telling them, hey, you should be asking us the questions. Exactly. But she's telling the truth. We're rambling on and on, just like what they did starting out. They're rambling on about how much weight they lost and what they took to lose the weight. Exactly. Ooh, Lord have mercy. Help me, Jesus.
Fair enough for me.
You're filling in the gaps.
Yes.
All right. So, any idea how long Stephan and Jen have been in a relationship?
7 years.
7 years.
7 to 8 years, somewhere in there.
Okay. And was it constant throughout those 7 to 8 years, or on and off, or?
They were friends first, close friends first, and then it evolved into a romantic relationship. I think probably the first 18 months was just friendship, and then it changed from there. And no, we did not like the relationship.
Why not?
Didn't approve of.
No.
Why
She was
is
bad influence on because of her,
Drugs.
well, drugs plus, I think she was taking medications for depression, anxiety, what have you. And I just didn't feel that she was going to be a good influence for me.
She's black.
Well, imagine that. Any meds she took, she either told it or Stephan told it, okay? Did she ever take any narcotics? Just so. So imagine they're judging her because she's taking psychotic meds, mental meds, and their son's a child molester, sadist, peeping Tom. So imagine that. kind of like the left foot trying to guide the right, vice versa, when you need both of them to guide momentum. But that's usually how it is it not? One person's vices are just as bad as the other person's. Maybe not as severe, but when we find out what we have heard through video surveillance, data on phone, and complicity by the mother, and possibly more if they can prove it, one was definitely no better than the other. Where did they meet is my question. Where did Stephan and Jennifer Soto meet?
Polar. She's bisexual. She's a drug addict. She had a young child. The family was disapproving, and she was sharing these drugs with Stephan. And I don't approve of vaping. We don't do any drugs. We don't even drink.
Vaping. So was she a vapor? Because we learned that he vaped in the interrogation. Him telling authorities he went to the vape shop on that fateful morning. If she thinks vaping is bad, once again, that's putting it mildly, considering what your son's been accused of and what has been seen on his phone now. He likes to play with little children. So I'd say vaping is kind of like drinking Coca-Cola or lemonade. I think most people would agree, unless you're a sadist. But this is what happens when you favor your children. You're not looking at anything they've done wrong. So really, you look stupid even saying anything bad about her, considering what your son has been accused of doing. He's been charged with murder and facing the death penalty. The only thing you can worry about is vaping and psychotic meds, swapping meds. She's bisexual, she's bipolar, and your son is possibly all of the same things that she is. Checkmate. Say, well,
I'm going to take specified medication for pain because my body rejects them, and I get really, really sick from them. So, I mean, I could open for surgery on Tylenol.
Wow.
So it's
And they slept all the time. And you know, we had a hard enough time dealing with Stephan sleeping all the time, and now he's got a relationship with somebody else that does it as well. So it's like they were feeding off of each other, none of it in a positive way. And that's why I disapproved of a lot of Stephan's.
that's the only thing. Yeah, only thing her mother and I approved of together was the fact that we didn't approve of the relationship, because if Jim started spiraling down one of her holes of depression, she took Stephan with him. If he was depressed, he brought her in. And it was just always like a balancing act with those two. This is not good, it's not a good dynamic.
You know, when you said they were always sleeping like constantly,
Yeah.
Were they taking medicine to go sleeping, or they were just?
They would fade out.
Yeah, well, Stephan has a sleeping disorder, sleep apnea, and so he's been tested for it, and he would be up all night and sleep all day, kind of deal. And we really didn't have that much physical interaction with him. These are things that we just observed from a distance, and you know, trying to talk to Stephan at times, but we just really didn't have any social activity to speak of.
When Stephan would be here in town, like what would his routine be? Would he is he a homebody, or?
He locked himself in his room, and we would see him maybe, you know, once in a while, tell him dinner's ready, but he was constantly in his room all the time.
He was painting his little minis for Warhammer.
He
spent a lot of time doing that. A lot of time learning the new books as they came out. A lot of time online. He did go play Warhammer with the guys once a week. Try to get him to go to the beach. Try to get him to go to church. Try to get him to go shooting with us.
as you see, the mother knows a lot about her son, possibly more than the father. Because that's usually what happens with mothers. They're nurturers, but possibly these people didn't nurture him in the proper way, mom, dad, whomever. Because he's a sadist. And I'm going to touch on that when they give you certain commentary about the visiting arrangements. When Jennifer and Madeline came to visit down South Florida. It might be something not so great about the parents. Say, well, that's why I always tell people to listen very carefully to people when they give their assertions about other people and themselves. Some of it's true, some of it's exaggeration. Everything's about perception. But we have this dynamic here of people on meds, depression, vaping. They both pulling each other down. What was he depressed about? Seemed like to me he had a cushy life, so what was he depressed about? Stephan, what were you depressed about? You didn't work, you didn't do anything, so what were you depressed about? See, these people were aiding their son to be a nobody. Bad enough he's a sadist, a child molester, but he doesn't work, he's not productive. He's playing, video games, and he knows the latest book coming out. He didn't do shit. Grown-ass man living at home doing nothing, they got the nerve to tell the cops, oh, I got 2 deaf parents, I was fooling with poodles, I came up here to get away. You mean you went up to North Florida to murder a kid? You went up to North Florida to sexually assault again and murder a kid. Checkmate.
Did he give an excuse why? Then he wouldn't want to go.
Just the motivation.
And he walked around with Jen on the phone on FaceTime all the time. I would be in the kitchen, I would look up and I would see Jen, and she's like, and I look at her, her eyes are, I said, Jen, are you baked? And she says, oh yeah. I'm like,
And this is recently or throughout the years?
The last few weeks, yeah.
Okay.
He wasn't, I brought him back in December because I was supporting him living there. And I didn't know that I was supporting the whole family.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Stephan's great at omitting information, not being transparent with me. And I just reached the point, so I can't afford to have you working for Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always a deficit in his budget for one reason or another, but somehow he had expensive toys, what have you, where the money came for that, he didn't even after he arrived here. Packages would arrive, and I said, I'm not giving him any money, where the hell is it set worth? It's money I saved, and I said, you're going, Bohica. You know what Bohica is? It's an acronym, bend over here, it comes again. Mm-hmm. And, he called me up and said, well, I'm short of funds, can you, sell me $150, send him that. But meanwhile, now he's telling me he's got money in savings, which I didn't believe. Mm-hmm. So where the money was coming from, I have no idea. But these packages just kept arriving.
When you would support him, how?
Yeah, so this makes no sense to me. How is he supporting him at her house when she already had roommates? And you all are saying that her father owned this townhouse. So something's not adding up here. When people have roommates, that means somebody is in need of money. That's just usually how that goes. And I never could understand that arrangement if that's true. Why are you rooming with a bunch of different women? You have a child. Your child doesn't have her own room. You have a spare room that you're letting your boyfriend, on again, off boyfriend stay in. Father owns the townhouse allegedly. Now we got these people telling cops they were funding him to stay in her house. So it looks like to me this was a hustle. Everybody was hustling everybody. She said, well, he's hustling his parents to stay at their house. He's hustling them for money to allegedly go pay to her house when I don't think he probably was giving her a damn dime. Say, well, he's hustling her to sleep and play around with a 13-year-old / child. It's something's off. Some lies here. A lot of deception. Now, of course, she would want some money from him because he's in her house. What fool wouldn't want money? Hey, I got a kid to take care of. Hey, we're splitting the bills, blah, blah, blah. Light bill, water, gas, whatever. Did he give Jennifer Soto money when he went to the house? Did he send her money when he wasn't staying at the apartment?
Did you get him money?
I sell it.
Okay.
And I paid him, Juan charged Jen rent, and then in November of 2022, the reason why I know that because I looked it up the other day is how far back have I been paying rent there? But he started charging Stephan rent, even though he was sharing a room with Jen. And then they decided that they weren't going to be in a relationship anymore, and he took over a full room, and now I had to pay $600. And so this just kept escalating. He wasn't taking care of his car.
So now we hear he took a whole room. So you ought to think to tell your son that doesn't make any sense. Why are you going to pay for a whole room and you've been dating a woman? Why don't you just come back here or get your own damn apartment? Why weren't these people trying to make their son be more productive and self-sufficient? All this is backwards to me. We go from, okay, I'm giving him money to stay at her house, although she's got 50,000 roommates. Don't know when the roommates came in to live. And then now he's going to pay for a whole room. So that's the reason why he was in that room, the guest room. It's because he was paying rent for that room. Is that what I'm supposed to understand? Okay.
Wait for that shoe to drop. So finally, I said, I can't afford you to live there anymore. I moved it back here. And I thought, we had hoped that the year that he had spent at Disney, that he had matured and was now, accepting responsibility, had a disciplined routine, and that I could bring him back here and help him maybe develop into something with a better career path than working for Disney forever and not getting anywhere, because at $30,000 a year, he couldn't support himself if he wanted to live on his own.
Right.
And
Well, I hate to enlighten you, Father, but there are people who live in Florida off of $30,000 a year because everyone does not have a high-paying job. Although we know that Florida is one of the most expensive states to live in, but naturally we know there are poor people in Florida, working-class people in Florida. Come on now. There are poor people all over the United States that make $30,000 a year. And yes, they are struggling. But I'm trying to understand how you thought $600 a month was a lot of money. That's not a lot of money. Not in Florida coins, it's not. $600 is chump change in Florida. Now. Just tell the truth. You didn't want him there because you all didn't like Jennifer Soto. $600 is chump change in the state of Florida. You probably can't find a shed for $600 in the state of Florida. So how is it conducive for him to come back home? You still will be helping him. He's still running up water, light, gas for free in your house. You're still feeding him. Your wife just said, oh, it'll make dinner. We call him for dinner, blah, blah, blah. He stayed in his room. He's still eating groceries. You're not making any sense. They're neighbors.
that turned out to be a huge disappointment because he fell right back into his same MO. Locked himself in his room, wouldn't help us around the house, and we were like on eggshells because when he was here, it was always tension because of his sleep disorder. The dogs, obviously, are not the quietest things in the world. And they have their routine, we have our routine, so we let them out in the evening, and it's chaos with them. Let them out in the morning, it's chaos. But for the most of the time, they're at feeding time. They're quiet, But again, that would disturb him. It didn't want to cause a flare up with him.
So when it would disturb him with the dogs, was that during the daytime or was him trying to sleep at night?
Oh, it could be at any time.
If anybody comes to the door, get a package, a rat farts in the yard, it matters later.
So if he's sleeping during the day and we're doing our daily routine, there's going to be disruption and distraction. If I come in the house and go, hey, I'm home, it'd be alarming. Right. So, but I would just hope that he was soundly sleeping and that he would just sleep through it. But occasionally you would hear a bark out from him.
Or he had his headphones on.
Yeah.
So when you said you brought him back in December, do you remember when the first part of December ended?
I had to look up. It'd be really part of December because I was trying to get him out of there. I thought it was the end of November. It could have been at the very end of November or the very first part of December because I didn't want to owe one another month's rent. I wanted him out of there.
But did he mention if they were split up at that time or if they were still?
Well, they were supposed to be officially broken up.
Mm-hmm. And did he ever say why they broke up?
They just, well, I mean,
Yeah.
yes and no. I mean, Jen told me as recently as last week, she didn't want him as a partner. She realized that he was not going to be a good partner, but I assume that they both recognized that they wanted to go their separate ways. And I would say that occurred several months before, because there was one time he mentioned he was socializing with somebody at Disney, and that didn't go well, over well or something. She didn't like that. So
I told him, we both told him he would never get into a healthy relationship until we got away from her, because what are you gonna do? You're renting a room, you're gonna bring a new woman into your room with your ex in the next room? I mean, that's.
Good point. But he's a sadist, so it won't matter who he was talking to. So who was he fraternizing with at Disney? A woman, a man, what? I would almost say an animated person, but we know those people don't exist. Those are just people dressed up in outfits. But you get my drift. He wasn't going to be able to work out being with anybody because he has a penchant for children. So then we have to ask ourselves, if it was a woman, did she have children? See, these type of relationships and courtships are odd and strange to me. People shacking up in a house who were dating, and then they decide to say, well, let's just be friends, but I'm going to charge you rent. I don't know how people live like that. That's some weird shit. It's a very weird shit. I don't recommend it. Because that's usually how things go bump in the night. And maybe that's why we have a dead kid. He saw himself drifting apart from her, Jennifer. She's drifting apart from him. He's just good as having money. A person to pay for a room, which is so very weird and odd to me. All these damn roommates and different people living in a house. He's been molesting this child for 5 years. She's telling people she don't like him or whatever. You know, we got all this information coming out about emails from him in the jail. There's a lot of stuff coming out. This is a weird arrangement. Because I was trying to wrap my head around why he's going in room number 4. Now I see why. The parents said they were paying rent. But like I said, $600 a month is nothing compared to what people pay for a one-bedroom in Florida. Come on now, be serious. But no, it's not a good mix to try to still hang around a house with somebody you used to sleep with, have sex with, and they weren't compatible in that arena. So basically, she's just using him as just somebody to pay rent and help her with a dog and help molest her child. That's what it was like to me. What's the jump off? What's the motive for the murder? Something happened, and I might want to talk about that tomorrow. What's the jump off? How do we get to this place we're in now? Child turns 13 days before Sunday, Monday, week before, and ends up dead. Did he see a rift between him and the mother and the child? Maybe he sensed this ain't working out anymore. As Vinnie Politan said, she's 13, she can talk back, she can speak up. And maybe she decided she didn't want to play any more funny games. And she let it be known she don't want to play funny games. She don't like him. And who's to say she didn't say something? Hey, stop following me around. Hey, stop hovering over me. Hey, get on somewhere. And maybe he realized, okay, this is going to be a problem. I'm not going to be able to handle her anymore.
That's a can recipe.
Did this ever happen within the last 7 years? Did they break up and get back together and that sort of thing? Or
I seem to recollect that there might have been a pause in that relationship, maybe to the extent of how involved the relationship was, and maybe it became more social than more relationship type of thing. Mm-hmm. But again, clueless as to exactly the extent of how involved the relationship really was. I mean, I always thought it was just good friends and sex with benefit type of thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how committed they were to one another.
And that was going on all the way up until December.
Well, actually, before December, because like I said, when he went into the room on his own, that basically was probably the time that the relationship ended. So,
Do you remember when that was? You said November?
Yeah, we're trying. Let's see. He left in December, maybe 3 or 4 months before he pulled out of it. I think only paid 3 or 4 months, 6 months, maybe 3 months. I'd have to look at it.
Do you know if when he came back here in December, was he ever making trips back to Kissimmee at all?
There was, I think, 3 occasions he went back. This last trip, with when all this stuff happened, a trip before that, and then he went back for Thanksgiving, or he was there for Thanksgiving. So
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
yeah, so he wasn't invited to the family events, and but he was there at that time.
Okay. I'm assuming just visiting Jen, or was he visiting other people?
He's visiting Jim.
Yeah, I wouldn't know who else he would be associated with at that time.
Okay.
I don't think he had any relationships outside of Jen. Maybe I think there was a time or two he mentioned that he was going to go out with some cast members after work.
Yeah, Harold was one of them.
But that's the only time.
Has he ever lived in Kissimmee prior to meeting Jen?
No.
Okay.
So we hear that he was a cast member, I guess, down at Disney. So how ironic would that be for a child molester to be working at Disney? That should not be a shock to anyone. Because child molesters tend to roam and affiliate themselves in places that children frequent. And Disney would be the perfect place for a child to frequent, hang out. It caters to children. It also caters to big grown people who still have a child inside of them, let's say. Most people take their kids there because that's where children like to go. Everybody wants to go to Disney, Walt Disney, or Disneyland, California. So I'm really not shocked that that's where he worked, because if you've listened to the content by Ms. Lieberman and Ms. Sharonda on Court TV, they gave their assertion the other day, the mind frame of a person who would behave like this. It would be somebody who still acts like a child, still has a childlike mind. He has the body of a man, but he has the mind of a child. He might be possibly slow, mentally delayed. May have some other mental disabilities. Or he might just be all the way aware of his faculties, but he likes children. Likes fraternizing with children, likes grooming children. So there should be no shock that he worked at Disney. Sadly.
Is here in Northport, or has he lived at
So
elsewhere?
we moved here May of 2020, so he was always at our home there, or he lived here, and then we finally got him out of here, and there was an opportunity for him to go live in Kissimmee.
Okay. But with Jen, is there anyone?
Yeah,
They were both supposed to be working at Disney together, but she can't keep a job
Do you know why?
because of the bipolar.
Well,
She doesn't want to lose her state benefits.
but depending on the type of work, she had back issues or something, so she couldn't do physical things. Now she did have a job as a concierge that didn't require any pressure or stress on her back or something. But there was always something that prevented her from working. Couldn't do dog sitting, or whatever job it was, it lasted no more than 2 weeks. And then she
And she should go to school for nursing. Thinking, oh my God, save the world.
Well, then she was going to get into graphic design.
Oh yeah.
Debra.
So here they're talking about her negatively. She can't keep a job. She always has a problem. Only lasts 2 weeks working. She gets state benefits. So was she getting state benefits for a mental disability? I would possibly assume so. It's either mental or physical. Take your pick. And actually, when you get a state check, you're allowed to work at least 20 hours a week without it affecting the amount of your income, without the check being cut. So she's not going to work a long-winded 40-hour shift, because then they will cut her check. Now, mom and daddy, you should know that. Looks like we just have the blind leading the blind. And we have these people enabling these blind rats. The Sterns enabling their son who has all these issues and vices, jacked up girlfriend with fucked up vices, and if her parents are enabling her, this is why it's chaotic. Why we have a dead kid. Because we have the blind leading the blind.
An Apple computer thinking she was going to take these classes that are online. That didn't last long either.
And you're hearing this from
her
Stephan? Oh, from both of them. Okay.
Yeah. And everything that we're basically telling you is a lot of it's hearsay from what we were told. We didn't physically observe this.
Mm-hmm.
And there's very little interaction with them. And when they were here, they were either in Stephan's room. Maddie always slept with Debbie, but Maddie floated around here, played with the dogs, did things.
Wait, she said Maddie slept with who?
An Apple computer thinking she was going to take these classes that are online. That didn't last long either.
And you're hearing this from
her
Stephan? Oh, from both of them. Okay.
Yeah. And everything that we're basically telling you is a lot of it's hearsay from what we were told. We didn't physically observe this.
Mm-hmm.
And there's very little interaction with them. And when they were here, they were either in Stephan's room. Maddie always slept with Debbie, but Maddie floated around here, played with the dogs, did things little girls do with Debbie.
We did some arts and crafts together.
Your teacher did
Crocheting.
yeah.
So that was going to be my next question. So Jen and Maddie and Stephan came here to visit at some point, or a few times maybe.
Yeah. But if he was here, living here, she would actually come down.
Okay.
But again, very few trips. The last trip we saw them was we didn't see them, I think we saw them early 2023 and then maybe for Thanksgiving 2022.
Okay. And then when they were here, you're saying Stephan and Jen would sleep in or would hang out in Stephan's room, and then Maddie would sleep with you? Okay. Why is that?
Number one, he's a slob. Number two, he only has a queen size bed.
Okay.
And number three, I think it was a healthy environment.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going to have her.
Well, this is interesting information. She was sleeping with somebody named Debbie or whomever, who was at his sister or somebody else. And he was a slob. Well, that's what Jen said to authorities about him while she was tired of him, wanted to, I guess, break free. He was a slob. But yet, he was good enough to pay rent in the townhouse. Make me understand. He was good enough to have around your child. He was good enough to sleep in the same bed with your child. He was good enough to sleep in the same bed with you and your child when you two were on good terms. And if he's a slob, why are you at his house spending the night at his parents' house? It makes no sense. And I wouldn't allow her to come stay in the house, spend the night overnight in my house. You're not married, not sleeping in the same room. Sorry. And then we hear her say this little girl slept with them. See, that right there don't sound good. Because your son's a slob, you're going to have a little girl sleep in the bed with with you and your husband? Is that what you're saying? With us? So I want everybody to think about that for just a second. We got a sadist going up to North Florida to sleep in the bed with a woman and her child, and then in the end sleep with the child alone and end up dead, for the child to earlier be going down to the parents' house in South Florida to also sleep in the bed with another woman and a man and another woman, who I guess is a relative or whoever the hell Debbie is. Does everyone follow what the fuck I'm saying? This is ridiculous to me. All this bed hopping for a little girl. So, oh, well, his room is nasty, blah, blah, blah. She sleep in our room. That's why we're where we are right now, because the child was not being properly cared for. I don't care. The mother should have said, okay, he's a slob, we're not going to his house, and he ain't gonna keep staying in my house. He ain't gonna be around my child, he ain't gonna be around me. See, self is first. Person is first. You are first, self-preservation. But she didn't think of herself. Jennifer Soto. She was just using that guy, this child molester, for what he could do for her. Because they weren't compatible. And then you hear the mother sitting here saying, well, he just had a queen size bed, so she couldn't sleep in there. Let's let her finish that.
Sleeping on the floor, on a sleeping bag. And I said, I have a king size bed. I sleep on 36 inches of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole side of a bed. Why can't she be comfortable? So I just insisted that she come in with me, and I had the dogs with me, so if she got up, and what Jim used to tell me was, she would wake up in the middle of the night, she'd come and climb in bed with him.
Mm-hmm.
She said, well, you're gonna have the dogs here. If you get out of bed, you're gonna rouse the dogs up.
I got you. Did they ever talk about their sleeping arrangements at their house in Kissimmee?
Just what I just told him, that if she had a bad dream or something, she would come in, and I told her, as Maggie got older, because we've known Maggie for 7 years, and watched her grow up. I mean, this is very hard, but she was a sweet girl, she was, but then she started, in the last year, she started showing signs of bipolar as well. And Jim was horrified by that. They were butting heads like two rams. They were fighting all the time. And they're presenting a very different family dynamic than what they told us was going
Can
on.
you witness them butting heads, or?
No, I would be on the phone with Stephan, I would hear them going at each other in the background, but that's, and I would say, what's going on? Well, man, and Jenny are at it again, and I gotta go break this up. So he would go be.
See, that's where she calls him the peacekeeper. How interesting. To call your son the peacekeeper, but all along your son was wreaking havoc because he was having sexual relations and ruling her and taking pictures and videos of her. And somehow you thought she was safe in your house to sleep in your bed, but your spawn was bedding her and filming her, ma'am. So I still find some sickness even knowing she slept in your bed, because this is why we're in this mess right now. Okay? This child bed hopping, jumping up, bad dreams. Why was she having bad dreams, I wonder? When did she start having bad dreams? When did the bad dreams stop? And as we would go back in time with Silence of the Lambs, shall we go there? Have the lambs stopped crying yet, Clarice? I say they have. I say the lambs have stopped crying. What about you all? Most definitely. That's what you have here. Silence of the Lambs. Something was going on with her having these bad dreams. So this is why I asked the question before. What was going on with this woman and this child even before Stephan STERNS came into the picture? Because I think it's time for somebody to start digging a little deeper past Stephan STERNS.
The peacekeeper. But I just put that down to puberty. She started puberty at 11.
Right. Then butting heads, or?
No, I would be on the phone with Stephan, I would hear them going at each other in the background, but that's, and I would say, what's going on? Well, man, and Jenny are at it again, and I gotta go break this up. So he would go be the peacekeeper. But I just put that down to puberty. She started puberty at 11.
Right.
How long does it mean? But anyhow, she developed quickly, became pretty precocious, and other than that, I don't think she had a lot of friends at school.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that she was a very social person. She had been, if you remember, Stephan and Jim both told us that after she began developing physically, that there were some boys at school last year that would push her against the wall and grab a feel and bully her.
Mm-hmm.
And they were having a hard time with the school getting it stopped.
Mm-hmm. So we have the mother ear hustling conversations through FaceTime of her son and Jen and whatever he decided to tell her personally about his life with Jen and Madeline. Now you have this he said, she said of the little girl being bullied at school because she's blossoming. Would have to be a trying time, would it not? To be molested by your mother's boyfriend, on and off, or however long it went on. Blossoming, body going through changes, mind going through changes. Allegedly, she was autistic on the spectrum. Don't know if all that's true or not. But a lot going on with a child. And now you're going to school and you got boys pushing up on you, touching you. This is a recipe for disaster. Because this is usually why a lot of young girls become promiscuous, boys too, because somebody's been fondling with them. So they're going to act out what's been done to them. So it doesn't help that she's blossoming, filling out. Interesting word the mama used, precocious. This was probably going to be a recipe for disaster even without a death. Because she's not getting along with her mother. She's blossoming. She's got kids picking on her. That will make her act out even more. The girl needed help. And she didn't have the proper people tending to her. But as I was looking at commentary earlier on Court TV of her birthday party, it's scary looking at her running through the grass with a shawl, throwing it over her shoulder, enjoying herself being filmed. And little did she know that would be the last time she would ever see that grandparents' house, that field, and life again. Because death was at her door and she didn't even know it. It's very scary. But it's always scary to look at people's last photographs, last video, live streams, and then know that shortly after they went live or was filmed, they met their demise, especially murder. But then you hear all this fake crying and boo-hoo-hooing when she went missing by the mother and the boyfriend. And as you can see, Mr. Stephan was more emotional than the mother. She's staring off into space like a space cadet while being talked to by a deputy at the tax office, swaying back and forth, guilt written all over her face. Oh yeah, I was reading that demeanor tonight, last night. She didn't even blink. Swaying back and forth. Something was off with her demeanor in that conversation with the deputy, police officer. And now that you know what you know about her sending the child to the room with a grown man, it all made sense when they were asking her, when did you last see her, blah, blah, blah. It all made sense.
But anyway, when they visited here, she was either out here or they were watching movies together. But when it came to sleeping time, she was definitely in Deb's room.
Okay. Any time where either Jen and Maddie would be sleeping in that room without Stephan, or okay, so the only person that would separate from them would be Maddie when she was sleeping with you.
And like I said, she was always floating around because, she was bored.
And before that, as you see the whole, we had a TV there. Didn't have one in my room that was big, very big, but we moved that one. So I would sit out here with Maddie when they were there, and we'd watch TV together too. We even got the Disney Channel, of course, that she had it.
Mm-hmm. Do you know if Maddie or Jen, when they were sleeping here, did they take medicine at night or anything like that you know of?
No,
Or did Stephan take any, has he been prescribed any medication?
he has been prescribed anti-anxiety medication and a ADHD medication. He's got Adderall and something, clonidine, for sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the first part of it is, but
Really didn't know his medical routines about hers or Jen's, other than the fact that
she was always changing medications.
she was, I think, taking medication for depressant and anxiety and bipolar. But I don't know anything beyond that.
she had a prescription for medical marijuana. So she vaped all the time, and she shared it stuff. I wouldn't allow it in my house. I didn't like the smell of it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if you're gonna do that, you have to be outside. I just can't bring it in here.
Now, after Steph,
So the mother's talking about the smell of it. So I'm assuming she's talking about marijuana. So she's mentioned vaping at the beginning of this commentary, and I guess she's talking about smelling marijuana through the vaping or marijuana through roll-up papers, what, or both. She's telling her if you're going to do that, you can't do it in here. See, there's no respect. But this is what happens when you don't demand respect. People will treat you any kind of way. They'll do what they want. They'll come in your house. They'll get tore up drunk. They'll smoke weed, marijuana, meth, whatever, because you don't say anything. She sees how the son navigates. So what does she care about vaping in your house? Smoking weed, whatever the hell they were doing. You're also talking about they were swapping meds. She's giving him meds. Well, you should have said something to your son. Hey, you're going down the rabbit hole. You and this girl are not getting along. You two aren't good for each other. It's not working out. But that's the point. You can't tell grown people who to date. They're going to date who they want to date. They're going to sleep with who they want to sleep with. He was attracted to her daughter, ma'am. Have you not realized that yet? You give a fuck about Jen Soto. She was something to do to pass the time. Kind of like the crocheting you've been doing over the years. We take it he gets his artsy side from you. At the beginning of this audio, you tell him that he liked painting figurines or painting whatever the hell he was painting, little army men or whatever the hell it was. Well, he gets that from his mother. Quite dominates your personality, I do believe. You're the most outspoken one here. And he's quiet, mild-mannered, and sadistic. Checkmate. But somebody, I believe, had been fondling your boy. Who might that be, Mrs. Sterns? You have any ideas? Somebody had been penetrating your son. That's why he has a fancy for anal sex. Excuse my language. We're all grown here. It's the witching hour now. We can go there.
we moved back here in December and he made the trips back to Kissimmee. Would he drive the silver car or your
No, that's the
car?
first time you ever drove.
No. He drove the silver car because his car was in dire need of servicing. So I said, last thing I want to do is go 2 hours north and be stranded now dealing with a disabled car.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that car was up in maintenance, so I let him drive that car.
What's wrong with his car?
It's 1,000 miles over service. The brake jobs need to be done. He hasn't taken care of that car.
Sorry about that. It's buffering. Let's go back a little bit.
Drove the silver car because his car was in dire need of servicing. So I said, last thing I want to do is go 2 hours north and be stranded now dealing with a disabled car.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that car was up in maintenance, so I let him drive that car.
What's wrong with his car?
It's 1,000 miles over service. The brake jobs need to be done. He hasn't taken care of that car at all. It's probably going to need about $2,000 to $3,000 worth of repair on it, I'm sure. If I take it in, I'm sure it's going to be $2,000 to $3,000. AC was been acting up on it, but I didn't trust him for long trips. If he was just committing to, if he was a Pacific community to Disney, that's one thing, but not long trips. In fact, I had him tow it down here, not drive it down.
Stonefield Organic Yogurt.
All right. Now we're talking about the car problems. Well, he didn't mind, but we learned later he had a flat tire right across the road from where he disposed of the child's body. Very risque behavior that fateful morning. Very risque behavior. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining me. These are the parents of Stephan STERNS. giving their information pertaining to the relationship of Jennifer Soto and their son.
Is it safe to say this last time he came, and then maybe Thanksgiving or Christmas is when he took the silver car, or Thanksgiving?
So this last time, then he made it. When he came down here, he made a trip. When he first got down here, he made another trip back to get more stock.
Okay.
So that was one trip, and then there was a trip in between. I guess he went up for Christmas, because I think he was here for Thanksgiving. And then there was this most recent trip. So as far as I know, I think it was just 3 trips.
That when he would come back from there, would he have like loads of stuff? Like, I don't want to say furniture because
It would just be leftover stuff that, for whatever reason, he had a 10-foot truck, and just the front end of it, and all of the back was available.
So he rented a moving truck to grab.
I rented it.
Okay.
There was more truck that he needed, and why he didn't get everything he had was ridiculous, because it basically came down to his typical modus operandi. He waited till the last minute, and then didn't have enough time to put stuff up there or whatever, but he didn't bring everything back with him.
Okay. Did he say why he didn't grab stuff?
He didn't have to. Well, basically, if he did, it wasn't enough. He didn't have enough time. It's like bullshit. He had weeks to plan for this. I kept on him about that. He's completely opposite me. I start to organize stuff and get stuff done, not wait till the last minute, but he waited until the last minute. Very frustrating.
How long was he in Kissimmee when he made these trips?
Well, he stayed up there. If he went up there, he was up there for the day. Maybe he stayed up there a day or 2.
He's usually.
No rush to get back. No urgency to come back.
This last time he went up here, or to Kissimmee, did he say why he was going to Kissimmee?
Her birthday.
Her birthday. Okay. Did he say he was invited to a party or anything like that, or?
I think he was asked
Ask him, please come.
And you heard Maddie call? Okay.
Yes.
And any idea, do you remember when that was? And I know she had a party on Sunday. Do you know?
Was it Saturday? Or was it?
To make sure he was coming.
Something odd went on Saturday. And I don't know if was he invited on Saturday? Or did he just say Sunday I wanted to visit?
No, we did the week before, because I found the gifts for Maddie.
Okay. He seemed to be very upset. In fact, he came to me, he said, "Do you have any anxiety medication?" I go, "No, sorry, don't have anything like that. Everything I have is for diabetes or heart." And then he went to Debbie, "I don't have any." And then he came back and said, "Well, I found some 4-year-old stuff." I said,
Who is Debbie? Is Debbie a sister, or who is Debbie? I've not understood who she is. Who is Debbie to these people? He's asking his dad for meds, anxieties. He's upset that Saturday. We also learned he got up there to the house, North Florida, on Saturday. What was really going on? And many people are questioning why Jennifer Soto was not present for her child's birthday. You couldn't take off that one day. What were you doing so important that you had to work your child's birthday party? Or will we find out she didn't want to go? Mad at the world, what? I don't know. I don't really know what she did for a living, what the new job was. And let this mother tell it, she doesn't keep the job long, so she probably won't be keeping the job long anyway. And with all the hype pertaining to her, I doubt that she works at the same job now. Checkmate.
"Oh, okay." But he was suffering from high anxiety, man. I don't know what he was stressed out about.
When was this?
Sometime in the evening. I don't know.
Well, if you said what? Debbie is Stephan's mom. Well, she calls herself Debbie. She talks in second person, third person then. First she said Maddie slept with us, then she said she slept with Debbie. So who talks like that? She slept with us, then she slept with Debbie. I don't know anybody that talks like that. People talk like that when they're either crazy or they're joking.
Saturday or
Saturday.
days prior to that?
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he's making, and then I guess the medication worked, and again, he looked like he was like very stressed out.
Have you ever seen him like that before?
Yes, when he was very stressed out. And it was like, better tiptoe, I'm not sure if he's gonna blow up or not. You know, he seemed like he was calm enough, but you know, I didn't know if anything could trigger or not.
Did it seem like he was more in fear of something or scared of something or just?
You know, it was a different, other than, you know, being really upset about something, it looked like he was stressed out over something that obviously he never shared any of his feelings with us. And I had no idea it was stressing him out, that something really had him upset.
Angry upset or just not that type of upset?
Not angry upset, but just something worrisome. Just seemed like there was something that was really preying on him, and it was not settling well with him.
Mm-hmm. And that's when he told you guys he was going to Kissimmee, or did he tell mom prior to that?
Well, he was making plans to go to Kissimmee, and I don't know exactly when this happened, whether he told me on Saturday, but I knew he was leaving Sunday because we talked about the expense of that trip, and he said, well, Jen's going to pay for the trip, because I was done paying for this stuff. And he said, well, Jen's going to pay for it. You know, I said, well, go down and fill up the car, I'll take care of that. That would be enough gas for him to get up and get back, because that's all he was going to do. And so I'm assuming that the plans were submitted on Saturday, but you're telling me that you knew about it a week in advance, and maybe he started planning that a week in advance, but I would.
Well, that's also been a question asked, I believe, on Court TV. What's this premeditated? Going up here to unalive this girl? What was the motivation? Because now we hear that he was upset on Saturday. That's the same day he went up there. Father's tired of paying money for him to travel back and forth. He's arguing that he didn't move all his stuff out. Don't know why. They paid for, I guess, a moving van or whatever to get his stuff. But that's the whole point. You can't make a grown person do what you think they should do. He was invested with this woman because of her child, Paul. Wake up. Don't you see what the fuck is going on? You know, take the blinders off. Your son's obsessed with a kid. Your son's been grooming a kid. Your son's probably been grooming other children. Your son is sick. His attachment is to the child, not to the mother. Now, as I was listening to content last night, the daughter looks like the mother. They both wore glasses, both petite. Who knows? He makes out some type of sick fantasy. He couldn't get what he wants from Jen. He fixated on the daughter. I don't know. It's all creepy. It's all creepy. But if they can date him back to molesting the girl at 8, 7, still a problem. That's still a problem. Because she's a child. 8 years old is a child. And actually, she will look like her mom. That's her mom. So I don't know if this is some type of sick sensation because he couldn't get what he wanted from the mother. Were they having sexual problems early on when they were dating? We hear he couldn't get an erection. One lady talks about their sexual escapades. He wanted her to lie flat on her stomach, play dead, blah, blah, blah. He has problems. I don't think it's going to really matter. You can try to dissect this all you want. You'll make your head spin trying to dissect a damn pedophile. But this is what people do. Why? What do I always say? Don't ask why not. He did it because he could. He could have got help. Hey, I like kids. I fantasize about children. I need therapy. I need medicine. I need some shock treatment. I need something. I need Jesus. Because this is some Jesus type stuff here. Ain't too much man can do with this type of nonsense. Because once you leave pedophilia and then you start going towards fantasizing about murder and necrophilia and all this, you're on a whole new level. Ain't nothing nobody can do with you. Man can't do nothing with you or for you.
I wasn't aware of it until last night.
But he didn't have this fearful reaction earlier that week. It was just that Saturday.
Yeah.
Did he say how long he planned on staying in Kissimmee?
A week.
A week.
Yeah, I was planning we were planning on him going to be gone for a week because.
Well, they didn't say he blew up. They just said he was acting strange. She was upset about something.
What did you buy her as a gift? You said you got her a gift?
I had ordered something and they looked marvelous, but then I got it and I think this is really probably too juvenile for me to wear. It's called Mermaid's Beads and it's made out of sea glass, and it was a dual color bracelet, and they had the stud earrings and the same thing, and they were kind of opalescent. They're really neat. It's by Nogu and it's mermaid tears. But I said, these are still in the box. I've never even worn them. I said, why spend money on something? This is something she really liked because I knew her enough to know this was something right up her alley. And I said, this is $90 worth of a gift. It's just going to sit where it could be doing good someplace, somebody could enjoy it. Mm-hmm. So just gave him the boxes and said, you want to get for Adam? He said, no, I'll just take them like this.
So this mermaid gift, did you intentionally buy it for her weeks before, or you bought it for yourself? I'm confused. Because you're acting like, well, I bought it weeks ago, but then I thought she may not like it because it's too childlike. I'm confused with where she's going with this. I'm getting a feeling that, oh man, ain't none of these people rap right. It's not trying to be mean, but I don't think they are. Because we've seen so many times people with enabler children, they sometimes end up dead by their own kid. And to me, he's that type. He just killed the child. So if you kill your child, you can kill your parents. What's the difference? Murder's murder. That's how I look at it. So there's no rationale behind one molesting the people, molesting children, raping people, or murdering them. So if he can murder a child, he can murder his family. And we have seen time and time again these cases of young men murdering their mothers and fathers who stopped paying for their bills, they're paying their rent. We had a case like that here in Knoxville a couple of years ago. The guy chopped up his mom and dad, cooked them on the stove, all kind of crazy nonsense because they got tired of taking care of him. 28-year-old grown-ass man living down in New Orleans, not doing shit. So, same thing here. Or somewhere down there in Louisiana. They gave him the boot week of Thanksgiving. Hey, sorry to tell you, bruh, but we're cutting you off. No more. We're selling the house and we're going to move up East Tennessee to be near your sister. Well, you can see how that turned out. They didn't get the U-Haul packed because he chopped up his mom and his dad. So I see same tendencies here. Grown-ass man, almost 40 years old, sloughing off dead skin cells in somebody else's house. He talks about his parents bad in the interview about the dogs and the poodles, and he was sick of them and blah, blah, blah. And they're saying, oh, he get upset because they're barking. See, it was a recipe for disaster with this son anyway. He's violent. If you can murder a child, you are most definitely violent. And he definitely could have went off on his parents. He's a misfit. He's a bum. But they created this bum. So every day they want to talk about Jen Soto, they're talking about themselves. Because you enabled this bum to be almost 40 years old, living in your house, going back and forth to Jen's house, molesting her kids for years. You have no room to talk about Jen Soto. Because you did not do a great job with this big lump of clay here.
How did you guys come to hear about everything that happened on Monday?
So I tried reaching Stephan. He called me when he got to the city Sunday.
Any idea when he called you?
I know exactly because I wrote out the timeline this morning.
Okay.
6:48 p.m. But then I noticed on SunPass that he was out around 8:30, 8:48, and there were two SunPass tolls. And I said, well, maybe they had gone out or something, but I said, okay, that's a little weird. So that, I tried to get a hold of him several times Monday morning, or maybe noonish or so, maybe as late as 2:30ish or something, and then I get a call from him at 3:17. And his voice sounded a little off to me. I thought, well, maybe he was just, tired and maybe he didn't get a good night's sleep or what have you. And then during that conversation, he says, oh, by the way, I had a flat tire. Radar goes up. I go, what do you mean you had a flat tire? Where could you have got a flat tire? I'm not going to say you can't pick up a flat tire anywhere, but he's just driving from here to the apartment and shouldn't be driving anywhere else, per se. Oh, I just got a flat tire. Okay, where? 192. And then he described the fact that the tire was so flat that he ran the rubber off the wheel. Okay, 192, plenty of places to pull over, and you're driving the rubber off the wheel. So then he described that he was changing the tire, that didn't have it set right, and the jack collapsed somewhat and trapped his thumb between the frame and the jack, and did hurt himself severely. And I think the conversation lasted about 3 minutes. And I said, well, let's get the car into a tire place and see what's going to cost to repair it. I'm sitting there counting, it's going to cost me several $100s for this now. And then that was it. And then 4:54. I'm just getting out of the car, meeting a customer. I'm going to take him to a house, and he calls. And he says, I'm en route to Maddie's grandmother. There's been an occurrence. That's a strange word to use, but okay. And then I'm thinking, well, this is weird. 2 events in one afternoon, the flat tire and now this. And so he said, well, I took Maddie to school this morning and I dropped her off just out from the school because Maddie didn't want to be seen dropped off in front of the school because I'm not driving a cool enough car. I said, okay, well, understand that, teenager, peer pressure, what have you. And he said, I watched her walk towards the school down the rearview mirror as I pulled away.
Brief intermission. Interesting commentary from these two parents. Woo, Lord have mercy. Very interesting. Now, what are her parents saying? Where's the interview of her parents? Her sister, all those relatives. Who is she staying with? Like I said, this hiding out, it's not going to last long. You got to be able to work, take care of yourself, you got to have somewhere to live. She's not going to be able to hide out forever. And I'm praying they charge her with child neglect. And if also she's involved in the murder, string her up.
So then he goes on to describe that she wasn't, it's been reported that she wasn't at school. We went to pick her up. And she wasn't there. And then we come to find out she hadn't been at school all day. And then he starts to describe that the area is a high abduction area. Kids are stolen for abducted, kidnapped for sex trafficking. And that there's a good chance that she's been abducted. Typical questions. Well, what have you done to try to locate her? Have you contacted her old friends, social media? Where's her phone? Oh, she left her phone at home. Oh, okay. Yeah, she does that from time to time. And it was a 3-minute conversation.
Well, let's ask this question. Is this area a high abduction area for children or adults, human trafficking? Or he just threw that out there? I don't know. Just asking. Is that true?
And he was sobbing. He was really sounded upset that he was holding himself responsible for this. Same routine that he did in that Tuesday interview. I think he was rehearsing it on me.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And it was exactly the same routine, same explanation, the whole deal. And so then I kept in touch with him throughout the evening because they were waiting for police to show up, and it was hours, and I just kept checking in, any news. And then that was it until Tuesday. And then I didn't talk to him again until Tuesday, maybe it was the afternoon. And again, just trying to get an update, what's going on. And then as the day expanded, then the police were now more involved. And there's interaction between, I guess, your department and the two of them.
When backtracking to Monday, so you talked to him, you said you tried calling him. When you tried calling him, did the call go right to voicemail or did it ring a few times?
Combination of all that. I mean, let me get my notepad.
And by the way, Jim had mentioned several times that Maddie was going through a phase where she didn't want to look uncool, and that it had become their routine to drop her off 1 block from school and pick her up 1 block from school.
And she told you this?
Yes. And I never said anything about it being a high traffic area or anything like that. She just said, it's a straight shot. We can see the school. There's an overpass. You make sure nobody's in the overpass, So we just watched. And then Stephan said he took her by himself. And then in the interview, Jim said we dropped him off. Said it several times. And so I don't know if you want any conjecture or no.
So we have the discussion about the morning that they took her to school. He took her to school. He watched, blah, 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 all lies. Then they're talking about Jen. The mother saying Jen said we. That's what's so interesting about the storyline is that she said it and he said it as well. So it's not like you got one versus the other saying we took her to school. Both said it. So either one couldn't pin it on the other one when you say we. It is an even task. Which leads me to believe the mother knew her child was dead. Why are you going to say we if you know you didn't get up and take your child to school? It makes no sense. Then she changed the version. I was asleep. He came home and ate something, food, the dog, blah, blah, blah. You hear all that in testimony and conversations with the police. She puts herself there in the car. And I also learned last night that her car went to the same crime scene disposal, the route that he took that he got the flat. Now put that on paper. And when he was asked about it, he denies going back out there in his car or her car. But they let him know, her car went out there, so who's in the car, you or her or both? So that's why we got to question Jen Soto's role. What really happened that weekend? Because something happened to lead to this child's death. Nobody dies right at their birthday party, after their birthday party. And for all we know, there was a jump off when she got in the door to that townhouse. Maybe something was said to her out of the way. She was in her feelings about something. Maybe one of them said something to her out of the way she didn't like. She popped off. There was a struggle. I don't know. I don't know if it was an issue of him taking her to the room and raping her. She was trying to fight back. I'm going to tell. I'm tired of this. I don't know. But I know something significant went on for it to be murder that weekend. And I surely would like to know, and I'm sure both of these two dirty motherfuckers are going to take it to their grave. But we'll wait to trial to see if Stephan will implicate Jen Soto. And if he has any sense, he will implicate her. No matter what she did or didn't do, in order to preserve his life and not get the death penalty, he's going to have to say, she helped me, she did it. He's going to have to throw her in there. That is the only way he's going to try to talk his way out of getting put to death. Because he's going to get put to death regardless. That's the law there, just like it's a new law here. Child rape, automatic. Death sentence. Now you topple in murder. That's an automatic. So he's fucked either way. So if Madeline was alive, he still would be facing the death penalty. For those who did not know that. He would still be facing the death penalty even if the girl was alive today because he left evidence, took pictures, video. So he would be facing the death penalty anyway, child rape. So he's screwed regardless. But he may say, hey, I didn't kill her. Yeah, I've been touching her. You got the videos. I'm gonna go and say I did it, finally admitted. But her and the mom had an argument, popped off. I just did the dumping. As to save her. I don't know. But I know she knows that girl was dead. There's no way district attorney, police can tell me she didn't know. Oh, she knows because she puts herself in the car at the parking lot. And you would not say that if you were not there. Why would I do that? I'd say, hey, my boyfriend took her. So she's given different versions. So why is this child dead? What happened that weekend? What happened at the party? What happened after the party? Was she dead when the mother got home? Bingo card. Mr. Vinnie Politan asked that as well on Court TV. That's a valid question. I asked that the other day during the live stream. How do we know she wasn't already dead when Jennifer got home? Because we don't even know who really killed the girl. They're speculating he did it because he's got porn on his phone of the child and he's throwing away her things. He's out here near the dump site. So they're going to say, well, you're the last one to have her body allegedly. We're going to give you, the charge. But what role did Jen play? Don't know.
The conjecture is that she and Maddie are the same size.
Mm-hmm.
She wore Maddie's clothes. The video showed the color of the dark hair instead of the black hair. And that was Jen's sitting in church in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously, from what we've heard, Maddie was already gone by that time.
Mm-hmm.
So this elaborate charade put on for everybody's benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And she's cool, calm, and collected. He's a sobbing, wet mess.
So my call to him at 2:25 was 2 seconds, so no connection. And then he called me at 3:17, and that conversation lasted 3 minutes.
And you said he was upset at that time, or he seemed.
No, he seemed off, and I said, well, maybe the anxiety medications or what have you was keeping him somewhat kind of flat monotone in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing upbeat about it, and then matter of factly, we had a flat tire. We talked about that, and then
Did you plan on taking the car to a tire shop? Did you guys confirm that plan?
I told him to. I said, he's driving on the donut. And we both confirmed that, the donut wouldn't last long and that, he needed to get that quickly replaced. And I expected him to do it. I didn't expect for him to do it that day because that's not Stephan's modus operandi. I expected him to do it the next day. So then I didn't hear from him until he called me at 4:54.
Mm-hmm.
And that conversation lasted 3 minutes. And as I said, I heard this story about him dropping her off at school and the whole abduction thing, and I heard that even more later in the evening. But I thought to myself, how strange these two events happened, and within a short time of one another that afternoon.
Did you question him about it or no?
No, I didn't think about it. When the call came in, he starts telling me that this is just a thought I had. It's kind of strange that. Coincidence that there were two incidents like that in that afternoon.
Okay. So moving on, you spoke to him around 4-ish, and that's when he said Maddie's gone missing.
Yeah, we're close to 5.
Okay. And then you didn't speak to him again until the following day. Is that
No,
correct?
I talked to him for 7 minutes at 6:02.
Okay.
6:02, and then again for 5 minutes at 6:22.
And is that just to get updates, or what's the conversation you're having?
Well, it was me. He called me at 6:02, and again, just briefing me, letting me know what's going on. There was an out call at 2 minutes at 6:18, and then another one at 6:22 for 5 minutes, and both of those I was making the calls. And then nothing again until Tuesday at 12:16, 3 seconds there, and then out at 6:32, 1 minute. I'm not even sure if we had even a conversation. So that was, and then after that, no more calls from his phone. Now Jen's calling me on her phone.
Okay. Did they tell you why?
There was a conversation about whether the police wanted his phone and whether he should give it to him. And I said, do you have any reason not to? And he said, no. And I said, then give me your phone. Let's get this cleared up, you know. What really upset me was that one of the conversations,
Let me go back to that. Hold on.
and again until Tuesday at 12:16, 3 seconds there, and then out at 6:32, 1 minute. I'm not even sure if we had even a conversation. So that was, and then after that, no more calls from his phone. Now Jen's calling me on her phone.
Okay. Did they tell you why?
There was a conversation about whether the police wanted his phone and whether he should give it to him. And I said, do you have any reason not to? And he said, no. And I said, then give me your phone. Let's get this cleared up, you know.
Well, why would they be discussing to give the phone or not to give the phone? What's there to talk about? You don't have anything to hide. You haven't done anything. So, of course, you give your cell phone to the police. He knew he had something to hide. And you heard him being asked that question, interrogation, hey, we're going to take your phone, blah, blah, blah. He complies. But he knew all along he could not tell them no because that would not look good. It wouldn't be favorable to tell the cop, no, you can't have my phone. He knew he had to give it up. That's why he reset the factory on it that morning. He knew exactly what he was doing. See, everything was a rush job to get rid of evidence, to get rid of the child. But was it planned, but not planned thoroughly? Some will say it wasn't planned because he was stupid enough to throw her things in the garbage at the apartment complex, which I don't understand because there's a pole right there with the cameras. You have to be the biggest dodo bird to dispose of belongings in a trash bin, and you're going to be spinning a web that you're the last person to take the person to school, child to school, and their backpack, shoe, laptops in the damn garbage, and then you also went in the house taking more stuff to the garbage can. That's something I don't understand. This 8 o'clock time frame, 8:19, he comes back to the property with a dead kid in the car, riding her around. Now, I know why he went to the school with the dead kid. That's to give an alibi as if he dropped her off. So he's dumping stuff at 7:25. Obviously, she's in the car dead, leaves the property with her, comes back 8:19, but he brings her back, which makes no sense. And obviously, he's talking to the security guy with a dead kid in his car. We get information that I just learned last night. Her mouth was open, slumped over. This is crazy to me. Mouth open. That is so macabre. The details. That means there's CCTV footage that saw the child and or the security must have seen her in the car. This man is heinous. He talks mild-mannered. He talks real soft and quiet, but he's evil. Because when you look at that ride with the black officer driving him, whatever, the black officer's taking notes in the car, and Stephan's in the back seat, he cuts his eye at the front seat like the camera. That look is priceless. You are staring in the eyes of a monster. And then he goes on and starts talking about the cot and sleeping on the floor and it's cold and he didn't have a blanket. He slept on a roll of toilet paper as a pillow. Well, life's a bitch, is it not? Life's a bitch. Nobody said jail was going to be fun. And you also hear commentary about that. The emails between the mother and him, her telling him to tell the truth, don't go down in flames by himself, ordering of candy and this and that and coffee and whatever the hell else. Just all this is so bizarre. And her signing off, love you this, love you every night, think of you every night. It's so macabre. It's even more macabre listening to her XOXOXO, you know what I'm saying? And he's been molesting this kid and killed her. I think there's something wrong with his parents. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I'd like to know where the hell is her father. Where are you? Where is your commentary while all this new information is coming out about your child and Jennifer Soto and Stephan STERNS? What do you have to say? Why weren't you in contact with your daughter? You all just sent this child down in the fucking abyss. And that's what's wrong with America right now, and other places as well. People are not equipped to have children. And everybody's just popping them out like Skittles, and it's no big deal. Oh, I got a baby. Yeah, I got a baby. Got another baby. Got another baby. Got another baby. I love my children. Everybody says that about their kids. I love my kid. I love my kid. But you're doing shit around your children you don't got no damn business. You think it's okay to smoke weed around your kids? You smoke weed in your house? You smoking drugs in your house? You cooking dope in your house? You got all these different motherfucking people running in and out of your house? Crazy people coming in and out. You don't know who they are. You ain't get no background check. You don't know nothing about them. Then you hear shit about them. You still let them be around your fucking kids. Nobody cares about nothing. Social media is a prime example of why nobody needs children. Look at how people act on social media, and they are somebody's mother and father. I look at stuff every day, posts on IG, Facebook, and it baffles me that you have custody of a whole human. A whole human, infant, toddler, grandbaby. Bitching and moaning every 5 seconds on TV. I said TV. Yeah, it's like TV. Facebook is TV. Bitching and moaning, crying, cussing, fussing, writing these long-winded posts, cussing at the mama. You mad at her, she's mad at you, you raising her kids. I see this every day, Facebook notifications. It's enough to chew both of your paws off and your big toe. This case is no different.
What really upset me was in one of the conversations I had with him when it became apparent that he was going to be a person of interest. I said, well, you had your phone, you can document where you've been. Well, I left my phone at home. Okay. That's backtrack. Were you anywhere that a camera could have caught you? Where'd you go? And it didn't sound like he went anywhere that a camera could track. So I said, well, I understand that, but I'm not sure, where a camera would have done. But, thinking he was innocent, trying to help, pinpoint where he was so he could document his whereabouts, because of my understanding, there was a two-hour gap between when he supposedly dropped her off and then when he returned home, because he said he called Jen at 10:17. And in fact, my understanding why he called Jen at 10:17 was to get back into the community because she had to call him in. He didn't have to trigger.
Okay. Is he tech savvy?
My impression, no, but I'm hearing, hearsay from other people that he may have been, but when he told me that he was doing an OS update on his phone and it accidentally wiped out his phone, I cried bullshit. But there's always that one off. It could be, that when he starts saying, well, yeah, I accidentally pressed the button to reset, then I knew it was bullshit. And that's not in the process of an OS update. You just say, yes, go ahead, do it, and you leave it alone, and it updates it and lets you know that your phone's been updated. End of story. Other than other bullshit.
Do you pay for his phone, or does he pay for it?
I pay for it.
Do you want this coffee?
Yeah, would you put some cream in it? Blonde like you, and duke it in the microwave for 38 seconds.
How did you get to Kissimmee? And what made you go to Kissimmee?
Okay, so, I got a call. I got a call at 9:30. And then I think that's when that discussion took place about it, whether to give this phone to the police or not. Yeah, we got an issue with it, give them the phone. And then I got a call, and then I went to bed. I was 10 or something. I all up to the bed, I got the boys with me, and I may have been partially asleep because I had my phone on silent, and then I woke up because the phone was vibrating, and then my watch would have been in the office. So the phone was vibrating. By the time I got it, there was no connect. So then that was at 10:42, and then I made an outcall at 10:43, and then the conversation was about, you need to come up here.
And who says that?
They both think because they're on speaker.
Okay.
And Stephan said, hey, you need to come up here.
Delicious protein-packed lunches, everyday low prices. It's an Aldi thing.
Sorry about that, everybody. Brief intermission. Oh. As soon as I step away, hop on.
I said, we're so discussed, we
Take the
were
pose.
kicked out. They didn't have a place to stay, so well, we need to figure out where to go for.
Take the pose, everybody.
What have you, so, I'm
Get those
jumping
thumbs up.
back in the bag, talk to the dad, make the plans to leave, and I wish I did it, just after midnight. I tried to make a call to 11:56, it went to voicemail, and then I called her back at, now we're into
Hey,
Wednesday, so I called her back at 12 to let them know I was on my way. And then I also called my wife because when I left, the front door, if you notice, has an electronic keypad on it. And that's what I did it through.
No,
Okay, thank you. It wasn't working. And it's been, it's electronic and it's batteries in there since they were moved here, so 4 years old. So when I tried to lock it, it's not flashing or anything. I did get it to lock, but I wanted her to know that, hey, if you go out, you're going to have to come back in through the garage door. The only way to do that is if you have a clicker in your remote in your visor, but you weren't going to be able to get in through the front door. And then I got a call from them at 1:18, less than 2 minutes, and then at 1:51, 50 seconds, because I arrived at the hotel.
What were the conversation at the 118 area? What was that conversation about?
Just confirmation of where they were, they knew where we were staying, and the address of the hotel, because it was out off of west of Disney off of 429.
And from what I understand, did you pay for the hotel or did they pay for it?
They paid for theirs, and I paid for mine, but then it said pet-friendly hotel, pet-friendly if you pay $150 for the night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, all right, so I paid for the dog stay.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, well, I actually reimbursed it.
All right, and when you got to the hotel, you had conversations with Jen and Stephan?
Yeah, we were just reading, gave Stephan out, and, she.
How crazy is this? This man and his wife been paying all this money for their son. They paid his phone bill. That's even crazy. Why are you paying a grown man's phone bill? This is crazy to me. Paying rent at Jen's house, paying for gas, tires, this and that. Their son was a bum, a pedophile and a bum. But they aided him to be this person. I don't care what it says. Okay? They aided him to be a bum. And we don't really know what they did to this child growing up. For all I know, one of these parents molested him as a child. I don't know. But I believe he was molested as a child. That's why he's attracted to children, grooming children. But now you're paying for a pet fee for a hotel because they had to go over Jen's house and do the forensics and everything. She don't have family. She had family. The daughter had a birthday party at the grandmother's house, allegedly. So why she couldn't go stay at her family's house for 1 or 2 nights until they were done processing the townhouse? She has a sister that couldn't stay 1 night at somebody else's house. Come on now. Jen don't have no money to pay for a hotel room. She draws a check. Bullshit. All these people are sick to me. They're all wacky, whacked up. And I won't doubt we're going to hear some crazy shit about Jen's family as well.
Chatted for a few minutes. I was busy checking in because they had already completed their check-in. They went up to their room. They were on the opposite end of the meeting, but we were on the same floor. I went out to the car, parked my car, get my stuff, and bring it in to go to my room. And then I went to their room, spent about 10 minutes with them, no more than 15, and then I was sent back to my room to go to bed.
What were the conversations when you were in their room?
I don't really recall. It was just, everybody settled in, everybody okay, just meet in the morning, and see what unfolds at that time. I'm sure there was going to be some more interviews or what have you. I planned to go to the office, our corporate offices in Orlando, so I planned to go. So I was up 6:30, 7 or so, 6:30. Then I left the hotel room 7:30 to go to the office.
Okay. When you left to go to the office, was Stephen and Jen still there?
As far as I know, I don't know. I come to find out later when I got a phone call from Jen around 10 o'clock, 9:48 or so, I think it was. 9:49, she called me, lasted for about a minute to tell me, asked me if Stephan was with me. I don't know. Well, he's not here. How long has he been gone? Maybe 25 minutes. I said, okay, well, all right, maybe he's out, running around, whatever. So then I get a call from her about at 10:17. Don't recall what that conversation was about. Then there was another call, 10:47, and I think I'm trying to recall what time we talked about his not being there, and then I called back and said, well, I told her, I said, go down to the lobby. If he was gone for 25 minutes, go down to the lobby. Maybe he's down there. Seemed logical. And then after I hung up, I called her back and said, are your car keys there? And she said, no. I said, okay, interesting. So then I got a call back from her later and said that a detective had called and said they were going to come over within the hour to visit with them. And I said, okay, I'm on my way. So I left the office and drove over there and thinking, well, he's going to be in the world hurt if he's not there when they come back, because they'll probably put a bolo out on him. And then just decide to arrest him because he's wandering around, what's he doing? So.
When you got back, was he there?
No, he didn't show up for.
So this is probably where you're going to hear commentary that the car went back to the scene of the crime, her car. That's why the dog hit on the trunk. I did say I thought the dog hit on the back passenger door, but they're saying the trunk. So excuse me for that discrepancy. But anyway, did he try to go back to move the body somewhere else, but changed his mind? Because they've got him clocked, they got that car clocked at Nissan being there about 10 to 12 minutes or so at 3-something in the morning or wherever he went. So was it just him in the car or her in the car? Is this the time when he went and left in her car or what? I'm not really sure, but just curious. Because right now I think he's saying this is 10-something at night. He's gone out. And also there's interrogation of them asking him, did he go out that night before, he or her in the car? He said, no, we didn't leave. We searched on foot. So I'm wondering if this is the same time that the father is speaking of. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Thank you all for joining me. Welcome to the Vault XL. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $G129 Cash App. Thank you all for being up with the Queen this late morning.
For another 15 or 20 minutes. And then do you know if Jen's car has a GPS nav system?
It does, yes.
Okay, well, that's part of his lie. So, he came back in and said, well, I got lost in the back roads at Disney, no GPS, what have you. And I didn't think about this till later, that Jen's got a newer car, most of them have a GPS system in it. So because he didn't have the phone, obviously he didn't have hers, he was trying to wind his way back to the hotel, but couldn't because he didn't have a GPS when in fact he did have a GPS.
Now, there was talks of that he may have came here that morning.
Well, so when I finally got in to see Alex Wednesday evening, he said, what exit do you get off at when you come back to Northport? I tested my exit numbers and I said, I think it's 179, Toledo Way. And he said, did you know that Stephan was in Northport at 7:45 that morning?
Wow.
No, I didn't. Then I later learned it was really 6:30ish, which meant that, and I had my timeline all stood up. I thought I went to departed their room at 3:30, when in fact it was more like 2:30. So I was thinking, gosh, I just went to bed and then he turned around and got out of there and went down to the down to North Fork. But when I learned about that, I couldn't imagine why. And then Alex is telling me, well, we have information that he went to your storage unit. So that led us down a rat hole, and then I found out that was completely wrong.
Oh, wow.
Access storage facility had been accessed for 2 weeks, and that was me going to put the lock back on that I had incorrectly relocked my unit 2 weeks ago, now almost 3 weeks ago. So that was wrong. The time of his entering North Fork was wrong. It was really an hour earlier, hour 15 minutes earlier, and he never went access the storage unit. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, he must have been really disappointed if he was coming to this house because he couldn't get in the front door, and that door was locked. And he knew that that if he came in, chances are he would put the dogs on high alert and set them off, which would have got her up. And I asked her, I said, what would you have done if Stephan was standing in the middle of the house and you weren't expecting? It was like, what are you doing here? God knows what would have taken place at that point. Why he was here?
Why are you here?
Why did I go to Orlando? Because I can tell you the amount of time I spent with him. Aggregate, 3 occasions, it was a total of 30, 35 minutes. That's the amount of time that I had spent with him. Because when he got back to that hotel room, the both of them went back to bed and they slept. And there was no waking the dead. You know, until 2 o'clock, I'm trying to get him to eat something. Jen and I went down and had some lunch, but I had no idea why he was here, other than get in the house to get something, maybe try to steal some money from me, maybe steal some value from himself, what have you. I had no idea.
Wow. So on Tuesday, when he got eventually made it back to the hotel, you're saying.
So he's gone to a storage unit, belonged to the dad. We do find out information about that hard drive where there was more pornography on there pertaining to children, 3,500 visuals. It's a lot to digest. And why did the parents have a storage unit? What did they have in that storage unit total? Curious. Has he ever stolen from his parents before? Adolescents, teenage, young adults. Has he ever stolen from his parents? Why would they even think he was trying to come in their house to steal something? Very interesting. Did they think he was going to go on the run? Lots of questions.
You and Jen went to go eat, but Stephan didn't want to go.
Oh, you couldn't wake him up. He was out. Dead to the world.
Okay. Now, I was told by North.
Don't you find that interesting? He was dead to the world. Yeah, kind of like Madeline Soto. He's tired. We've heard of this Ted Bundy that was said in documentaries. He would be tired after his run. Hunting women, breaking and entering, taking bodies out of the house, carrying the body to the car, carrying the body on the travel, carrying the body up into the mountains, the woods. Takes a lot of work. Then assaulting the body, then coming back out, come back home. The girlfriend said he would always be tired when he would come in late nights. That's because he was out hunting women and doing what he needs to do for the hunt and the disposal. So I would say all that running around for hours on the 26th, that Monday, he was tired. Running back out to the crime scene in Jen's car, doing whatever he was doing out there, panting, God forbid, fumbling and fondling the corpse, probably trying to have sex with the corpse, I don't know. And then worrying about coming back, getting caught. That takes a lot of energy because your mind is rumbling. You're wondering if you're going to get caught. Hell yeah, you'd be tired and you'd be sleeping all day too.
For PD, when they came to talk to, I'm assuming you one night, that you may have mentioned the dogs barking sometime throughout the night.
They went on high alert, and I looked at my watch because I was in here alone. 3:19 in the morning. I had all 5 of them sleeping with me since he was in here sleeping with the boys. They all went from dead asleep to springing up in the air and standing on all 4 feet, all of them looking at my window and giving the war bark. That's not a war mark, that's a wolf.
Yeah.
When they do it, it's a sound that will make your skin wet to the spots. And I didn't have the gun in my room. I don't usually use it, I don't usually keep it in there. I had come look for a flashlight. I let all the dogs out here. And then I did not unlock the security lock on the door. I just took the flashlight and the light just to see if there was a critter in the yard. We have bobcats and we have all kinds of stuff in here. So, didn't see anything in the yard. Didn't see anything out the front. Went and looked through the office window. Didn't see anything out there. So, didn't see a car. I thought, okay, well, we must have had a critter and I dismissed it. You know, they'd be cold and come under the fence and drive the dogs nuts. Rats, especially, we had one last night.
And you're saying that your code to the storage facility was not used on that Tuesday?
No, the storage unit, Northport Police told me was, they misread it, but they said the last access, because I didn't think Stephan had my access code unless when we were there in December, he decided to memorize it. And I keep it in my contacts, because obviously I don't use it that often, I'm not going to commit to memory. But I was there 2 weeks ago because they called me up and said, hey, you know, we're doing an audit, we got an audit that's going to happen, we check all the units and you didn't lock your unit properly. So you know, it's just slide it over, bolted, and then it's got 2 bolts, you drop your padlock in there, lock it. Well, apparently I locked it on the outside. I didn't think I did, but anyway, so I went over there the next day and
Alright. Sorry about that. Woo! A lot of information. A lot of information. What do you all think so far about what's being said pertaining to storage lockers and disappearing? Everybody's wondering where he's at. What was he doing?
So any reason why he would come here? Does he have any other friends or close people that he would?
well, I mean, he has a limited number of friends. I don't know, maybe he was going to hook up with one of them, Frank being one of them. Is the one I know that he's is closely associated with it when he goes out. It's with him, and we haven't heard of anybody else that he's socializing with. So I'm assuming he would have gone out with Frank. But other than just gaining access to this house, and there's no way he would have broken in here because the back window's not going to do that. And the front door not working, so he was scribbling tattoo. I checked the car, you know, after the Northport Police left to see if there was any marks on the door to see if he was trying to pry the car open. But no, I didn't see any marks on it. So, yeah.
Why are you talking about your child trying to break in your house? Doesn't he have a key to your house? That makes no sense. Why would he be trying to break in your house? All this moving back and forth with Jen over the years. What are you trying to tell us? Your son never had a key to his own house with you all? So when you all were gone, how would he get in? Make it make sense. This conversation is weird. Why would he be trying to break into a house that you all asked him to move back to? You're going to ask your child to move back to the house as an adult, but he don't got a damn key to the house? I don't understand where this conversation is going. This makes no sense. All this talking about breaking and entering shit.
I guess he was here for an hour and 15 minutes or so before he had to make tracks to get back to Orlando, but I have no idea what he did for that amount of time. Maybe he came down here thinking he would throw the police off. If they obviously found a way to track him or something, maybe he disposed of the body or disposed of something down here, but I have no idea. Other than just coming here and stealing something from us.
You don't know if he has his own credit cards or anything like that, do you?
He has one maybe
He must have
two credit
stolen
cards
from them before.
that are his, and nothing else. I don't think he may have, I gave him access to a second Chase account that I set up for him, but it hasn't been used for whatever time, so if he has that, it doesn't have any money in the account. So other than that, that's the only thing I would know yet. I gave him, he would have use of the gas card, but I had it, they didn't fill it up and give me the card back, so we didn't have use of that.
Lord, man.
What banks does he have?
Like taking care of a kid.
Chase and
Well, he has a second account that I set up, but he has his own account with Disney Partners. We don't have any access to that, so I don't know what he's got in there when he got it.
Have you looked to see if there's any phone activity on your account that you paid for anytime during that Monday, Tuesday area?
I didn't look at his account. To answer your question, no. But then a Wednesday, since he didn't have his phone, I had a spare phone I used for business, which I think you guys have, iPhone mini, and I said, here, use this until you get your phone. Again, thinking everything's innocent and what have you. And so I gave that to him around 3 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. I said, use this, and then we went downstairs and met with the detectives, and then they were escorted away. And then the last time I saw the phone, other than him calling me to tell me that the detective said when they pulled into the Orange County Operations Center, they're going to go straight back. And I go, okay. And I want to go to the left and park out in front of the main building. We're going there for the press conference. And then I get there, and then I'm expecting to meet up with Jen and Stephan to go up to the press conference. And then when trying to reach them, Stephan's phone is dead at this point, started off. Finally, Jen responds to me, and they said they're making arrangements to go inside to get a pass and come upstairs to the press conference. By the time I get up there, it was over, and now I'm just trying, where is everybody? And the only call that came in, because I wiped out everything that I could think of to wipe out, because if he's going to have access to that phone, like, I've got my contacts in there where I put all my passwords and username and passwords. I know it's stored in passwords, but, you know, I want to put access to it or something, whatever, information. What are you gonna do?
No,
No, just
that.
yeah. Tell me what.
Well, I see why Stephan didn't like living with you all the dogs
And
barking.
anything else that would have been confidential that I didn't want to have access to. I leave it off of there. Because I only expected to use it for a short time, because the police said, and a lot of people, hey, we're going to get your phone back, we're going to get your car back. Well, I knew what that was about. They were going to escort him without handcuffing and what have you. They wanted him to be comfortable and what have you. So I didn't expect to lose my iPhone as a result of that.
Which you should be able to get that iPhone back, but I'll double check and let you know.
Well, I was going to say that, yeah. Because I asked Alec about it. He said, well, it's being transferred to the city. He said, and I said, well, this is going to be a slow process. So anyway.
No, we should be able to get you the iPhone back.
Yeah.
His other phone, no.
No, I don't expect that, no.
We're not the car.
The card number. Yeah, we already know that. Yeah, I already just think about it.
Huh. Kiss that.
Okay,
We use that as a tool.
MK goodbye.
Yes.
right.
The silver card. Because the dogs in the bed, or they have some surgeries, or the puppies are happy, the back seat, you know, could be super.
I want you all to think about everything these people are saying right now to this police officer. Imagine everything you heard right now, everything they're saying, interrogation, and imagine everything they learned once the son got arrested, all the information coming out now. Who would want that car back knowing a dead kid was back there? Carried in the front seat, dead, transported to the trunk. You seen on camera putting the child in the back of the trunk at a Holiday Inn. Wow, 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 wow. Limp body, as they described it. So that's why I said earlier, past 2 days of talking about this, he must have carried a limp body out to the car from the apartment. Nobody saw that. So how did the body get to the car to get off the property? Stay woke. This is diabolical. Nobody saw him come out with a limp body that Monday morning. That's the part of the story that bothers me as well. How she died, who all is involved in the death, and what time she died, circumstances, jump out, One time they take her body outside, and they had roommates living there. Stay woke. Neighbors, somebody has a doorbell camera, I'm sure. You're gonna walk out with a limp kid and think nobody would wonder what the hell's going on if they saw you walking with her, carrying her? What's wrong with her? Oh, she ain't feeling good. I gotta take her to the doctor. This is diabolical, man. This is some strange shit here. Because I'm trying to understand how you wouldn't be afraid to get her out of the house with all those people living there and walk her out in public dead. Make it make sense.
Your acute blood and what else that we call puberty.
Did when you gave Stephen the scar to go to Kissimmee, clean inside?
No. It's the puberty happens. You know, we're not going to have that kind of detail.
Where did you hear he stole money from?
Of course, Debbie had a bunch of her stuff in the middle. That part was not clean.
Okay.
And I said, well, if forensics is going to go over that, I mean, you know, I tried to tell somebody, I said, you know, it's a brutal necklace. There's going to be some leftover pubic blood or what have you that we were able to get out of the seats because they're perforated. Mm-hmm. So I hope somebody doesn't get too excited when they hit on something, but it's animal blood as far as I know.
Okay. Have you talked to Stephen since he's been arrested?
No. We're trying to set up a video visitation yesterday. They said we were confirmed. My iPad, my iPhone crashed a couple of times, so I'm trying to get on. And then
We had solar flares yesterday.
What?
They said we had 3 solar flares yesterday. Facebook went offline and a lot of people, Verizon went off and some other, and I thought, well, maybe that's what kicked us off yesterday.
But when I finally got on it, he wasn't there. So, you know, I kind of expected that could have happened because, again, you know, we gave him a warning that said, you know, if he's not available, he's not going to be available and won't be there. But I figured since I had confirmation, I haven't had any conversation whatsoever.
Have you talked with Jen since he's been arrested?
The last conversation, a text I had from her was when I asked her if she had gotten access back into a townhome, because if there was anything that Stephan had there, like supposedly he had his gun there, I wanted to get it out of there and away from harm and bring it back here where somebody else couldn't do anything with it. And I was making arrangements to do that, and she said yes, and then I didn't hear back from her after that, so she's gone dark on us. Is she worried about it? No. Well, she's avoided me for whatever reason, because up until that point.
Well, we have her phone.
Oh, you have her phone. Oh,
So
okay.
that may be one of the reasons that
So if I'm sending you love notes, I'm teasing. If I'm sending you messages, now I know it's why I'm not answering. It's the last thing I got from her was, yes, she did, and then I sent her another message afterwards, trying to get some more information, and again, trying to make arrangements to get the gun out there. Do you guys have the gun, or is this?
yeah, we have.
Oh, okay, all right. All right, at least it's in safe hands.
But I'm sorry.
I said, we'll never see that again either.
No, yeah, you definitely will.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm just concerned that it's in safe hands. That's the only thing I was concerned about. I didn't want, because they have roommates there, I don't know who these people are. And somebody could take that, and I didn't want that to happen.
Have they ever talked about their roommates at all?
No.
No, we don't
We
know
don't know
that.
if there's sex, we don't even know if it's guys or girls.
Yeah.
Now, did Jen
What's
ever
that?
talk to you about Sunday night after the party
Regarding what?
regarding the fact that it was probably drinking with the adults at the party? That she and Stephan would definitely have been vaping, that her meds were not working, and Sunday night when she went to bed with Maddie and Stephan was in Maddie's room to sleep, that she woke up with a headache and she told Maddie.
Stephan Maddie didn't have a room, so what are you talking about, ma'am? Did you not know they were sleeping in the same room, ma'am? All this conversation you've been hearing, ear hustling his conversations with Jen, you didn't know there were female roommates? I find that interesting. Stephan didn't tell you that? Of course not. He talks about everything else but the pertinent stuff. Because he also didn't tell you he had been sticking things under the door to watch one of the roommates and take a new photo of her. He left that part out too, right? Of course. How interesting. Did you really know your son, Mr. and Mrs. STERNS? Did you ever hear any allegations of pedophilia with your child, your adult child, as a grown-up and or as a child? I'm curious. Did one of you sexually assault your sons, Stephan STERNS? Because he picked up this behavior somewhere. And I say he got it from one of you all or one of your relatives or friends or associates. Say, well, or another child. Somebody has been tampering with your boy. That's why we're where we are today with a dead girl. All this conversation, he said, she said, he said, she said. When you are probably really sick now with all the information coming out about your emails have been leaked, his car going back out to the crime scene in Jen's car, all these images found on a hard drive in his phone. And naturally, you wouldn't want that car back, that Lincoln, knowing a dead child riding around in there for hours. He's probably fondling a dead corpse, put it in the trunk. Sick. All this is sick.
And she told us, she told Maddie to go sleep with Stephan in her room.
Yeah, they're all weird.
And when he was sleeping in Maddie's room, and she said him, she specifically said, because she told her, she says, I told her to go sleep with Stephan. And I was like the antenna popped up, and I said, what a stupid thing to do. Why would you do that? You've got plenty of room on your bed. Why would you send Maddie in there to go on a single bed with Stephan? It makes sense to me.
Single bed.
Do you know if they've
Yeah,
ever
we
talked
know.
about that in the past, that they would allow Maddie and Stephan to sleep in the same room together, or if you would sleep in the same bed?
That's the first time I heard that, but when she started talking about Maddie coming and sleeping with him at night, climbing in bed with him at night, and then Maddie told me, that's the word she told me, she says, yeah, I was sleeping with mom and dad, and I rolled over, and I ended up with my leg over Stephan's leg. She giggled about it, and I was like going, that was the second time. I said, and I told you, I said, listen, she's getting too old to do this. She's too old to share a bed with you. Don't do it anymore. I said, you have to lock your bedroom door so she can't come in when you guys are asleep. Then you need to do that. I said, I can understand a toddler. I can understand it up to about 5 years old, but after that, I mean, this is ridiculous. So I was here.
Well, this is what I have been wanting to hear. So there was conversation about sleeping arrangements. She opened her stupid mouth and told her business to her boyfriend's mother. That's why you know this is just a game with Stephan and Jen. They're all whack, they're all weird. Why are you telling his mother such nonsense? And now the woman is saying the girl was giggling by putting her leg over Stephan's leg. This is bad. Because it's been going on, your son had been grooming her for years. So maybe it was funny to her. She doesn't know any better because her mother's not teaching her that this is inappropriate for her to keep sleeping in her mother's bed and also sleeping in the bed with another man, which is the mother's boyfriend. And obviously she didn't take note because we now have a dead kid. She didn't give a fuck. That's the bottom line. And now your son is will be facing the death penalty. Child molestation, pornography, and murder. Who you should have been talking to was your son. Hey, we don't like this girl. She's doing this, this, and this. And now we hear that the daughter's sleeping in the bed with you and the mother. You know this is wrong. We didn't raise you like that, blah, blah, blah. You know how to lie. Come on. Did you ever talk with your son? Goes deeper than just talking to the bobblehead mother. How about talking to your bobblehead ass son? Hey, what are you doing letting a little girl sleep in the bed with you? She's too old for that. Stop it. How about that? I hadn't heard that part.
Very upset about that, and that's one of the other reasons we wanted him home. I just wanted him out of that environment.
Go back to the medication and that, Stephan. So Stephan on Saturday.
I want him out of that environment, but he's the pedophilia. He's the pedophile. I want him out of that environment. So everything's Jen Soto's fault. Yeah, she's at fault for a lot. I'm not going to give her no pass. But your son is an issue as well. Because it took two to tango. because he couldn't do nothing without permission. And at some point, she knew her child was having sex with this man. So they're evenly yoked in the blame game. Because I won't doubt this woman would have had problems with her daughter somewhere else, even if Stephan had never come into the picture. But he is in the picture, and that's water under the bridge. Can't take it back now. Can't go back. This is a bad story. And sadly, there are other stories out here just like this. There's another Stephan somewhere running around smiling in everybody's face, and nobody knows he's touching kids. There's another Jen Soto floating around, and there's another Malin Soto floating around.
They asked you if he had any medicine to calm his anxiety. Did he have prescription medication that just wasn't filled, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he didn't have any medicine to take to Kissimmee?
No, not that we're aware of. And one of the things I was pressing hard with Stephan when he left Disney, I said, talk to Human Resources to get your insurance coverage after you leave, because you need it for prescriptions. And so up until 2 weeks ago, I'm assuming he had enough medication to get him through, but he needed some medication, so we're trying to get him back on insurance, which I did. And then there was a waiting period of a few days that we were supposed to call in and then arrange to get his prescription filled. He contacted the doctor, supposedly, because I told him to, and there would have been a prescription waiting for him, but it never got filled.
Gotcha. Okay.
When did he start taking prescription medication? Do you remember?
He started taking Adderall when he was a child. I mean, he has a TBI, and so he was on an IEP through school, individual education program. He went to special classes.
Wow.
He was hit by a truck when he was 8, hit in the back of the head with the bumper, run over his torso, and then the guy heard a right scream, put the car drive and drove back over and got him in the front of the head. And then, so he.
Well, how long has he been seeing the psychiatrist, psychologist?
Also there,
Yeah, counselor.
about 4 years.
So she was prescribing medications for him at least 4 or 5 years ago, whenever he started going to counseling.
So when you last saw him on Saturday and he's having this episode, the next time you see him is Tuesday night, going into
Wednesday morning.
I want you to think about this information. They're basically saying the child took IEP classes. So I'm going to tell you what's getting ready to happen. That's going to be his defense. That he's mentally slow. That he was abused as a child, more than likely. And he's mentally slow, undeveloped. He has the mind of a child. He has a grown body, had a car wreck that possibly affected his navigational skills. That's going to be the defense, besides possibly implicating Jen Soto as well. They're going to probably say she manipulated him because he's mentally undeveloped. You wait and see. I'll put my money on it. They'll get a psychiatrist to say he's mentally slow, undeveloped. They're going to bring up all his school records. They're going to say why he can't keep a job. He's just like her. And then somebody's going to say the same about her. She's mentally undeveloped, bipolar, such and such. Abused drugs, narcotics, sleeping agents, so does he. They're both undeveloped. That's probably going to be the defense if they ring her up on some type of child neglect charges. They're both mentally slow. They didn't know any better. Wait and see. Because they're going to use the parents' testimony, the defense, that this man was slow. He didn't know any better. He had the mind of a child. That's why he didn't socialize well, didn't have a lot of friends, didn't have a lot of social activities, stayed at home, read books, played games. He was just a big old boy.
2:50.
early in the morning. Yeah, got it. Okay. Change in his demeanor, I'm assuming.
38 years old.
Just very still, no emotions.
Just turned 38.
Again, arbitrary to maybe medication he's taking, and the fact that
Where would he get that medication from? Jen, if he was going to take it?
Yeah, that kid said, oh, don't worry about it, I have some meds here you can use.
And then the fact is, we're now looking at early Wednesday morning, now going back to 5 o'clock, well, actually even sooner than that since he do the 2 events. So from that Monday afternoon or sometime Monday all the way to Wednesday early morning, I don't know how much sleep he's had. I know he's been under a lot of pressure, obviously, from questioning and interviews and what have you. So I didn't expect to see much of him, much other than just being somewhat stoic, kind of zombie, out of it. That's when when I left him in his room, he was sitting in a chair. And in fact, I remember hearing a comment with Jen when I was talking to him. They were driving over to the hotel. She's yelling at him to wake up because he was sleeping in the car. And when I left him there in his room, sitting in that chair, he looked like a guy that was going to pass out. And to hear that he drove down to Northport,
Well, he didn't wreck his car.
Unbelievable. So, the guy was like out of it. And where he came up with all that energy to do that. And then when he comes back to the hotel room, he's got an energy drink, and then he immediately crawls into bed, and he is dead to the world. You can't wake him up. And it's like,
it's all that running around.
He was finally called to it. There was no waking him up. He was past that.
Okay.
Running around. Disposing of a
I
body.
don't know what he would have done if he had access to the house. But what he didn't realize is that when Chris leaves, his house gets locked up like 4 months, whatever it is. But because I never locked that door because it's a pain in the butt to get it up into the security position. And Elliot dislocated my thumb, so not one of these dogs are ripped a tendon, so I'm right-handed, so it's even harder. But I did do that because I don't know.
I do want to touch that. When Northport was here, apparently they were given a computer. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. Because there was a desktop computer sitting in town. And I told Alex, I said, hey, it's got a tower unit here, desktop. I said, you guys want it? And they said, yeah, we'll probably do that. And so, again, I reminded Northport Police that it's here to start getting it.
Do you know what Stephan's dominant hand is?
With what?
Dominant hand
Right.
is right. A couple questions. I know you mentioned part of his childhood and having that traumatic car crash. What else was his childhood like? Did he have a pretty normal childhood? Did he have siblings? Only child?
Well, he has an older brother that was in the Navy, but
Yeah, they're 11 years apart. So it's basically like having raised 2 single children.
Okay.
because of the age separation, what have you, I mean, his older brother, they weren't very close because of the age difference. So his older brother was never around that much.
Well, he joined the Navy right out of high school. He and a few of his friends, and I think that.
So here he had an older brother. So what was the dynamic between the older brother? Oh, he wasn't around, he was older, but he still was in the house at some point with the child, was he not? 11 years, so he was 11 when he was born. So what? By the time he turned 18, the little boy would have been about what? 7? Still a reasonable age to do funny games with boys, if you get my drift. Because that's been mentioned on Court TV and also on my commentary. Somebody had been messing with Stephan STERNS. That's why he likes anal sex, perhaps. So are we going to find out one of your close friends, relatives, maybe even his brother, have been fondling with him as a boy? Because Miss Rhonda says the reason why he possibly chose to molest Madeline at 8 is because that's the age that he was touched. In her research, in her field of expertise, that offenders tend to offend at the age that they were when they were first touched. So was he first fondled with at 7 or 8 years of age? Very interesting information. Very interesting information.
Wonderful with their lives, but yeah, no, he loves animals. Always picking stuff up and bringing it home. would not do a single chore around the farm. We had a farm.
Is he a clean?
They chose to do something for him, Flora.
God, no, he's lived in a
Did he use the C word?
Let me talk to Flora. They enabled him because they chose to. They probably enabled him because of what they just said. He took IEP classes. That means he was slow, developmentally slow. So they probably catered to him his whole life because they probably knew early on when he was a toddler and growing up in school, he had something wrong with him. He couldn't grasp schooling like other children. You know, at some point you realize your children are excelling well in school. Usually they get assessed in school. I wonder if he got assessed and they told him, your son is slow. He's not on board like the other children. He can't do regular classes. Maybe he couldn't compute math, English. I don't know. Was he dyslexic? You got to ask all those questions. So they probably catered to him. Oh, this is our youngest child. He's behind. He's not doing well. What's the problem? And how old are his parents? They look fairly youngish for older people. Did they have him young or they had him older and they just look good for their age? Don't know. And all that matters as well. Genetics.
Clean? No. It always a challenge to get him to pick up his broom. Always.
I was going to surprise him and put a hazmat sticker across his door.
Mm-hmm.
Because I opened it, looked at it, and shut the door again, and said, "Not going in there." And so then I offered to help him clean his room. I said, "Look, it's hard when it's that bad to even know where to start." And I said, "I will help you."
You know, we're trying to encourage him for sports. He played baseball and like
He ran track.
but
Well, he ran track, baseball, okay.
you know, I said fine as a kid growing up, and I don't know, maybe later this brain injury started.
He did not have very close friends. He had a couple of close friends and some acquaintances, but those were the only ones. And he took Shotokan karate with Brian. They got up to a brown belt.
How were his emotions as a kid?
Volatile,
Oh,
but
interesting.
also, I mean, even in kindergarten, before the accident, he didn't participate with the other kids a lot. He would rather go and make up his own game and do his own thing than that. He has a very high IQ, he's very intelligent.
Oh, I thought he was
And
slow.
I think that I was in college at the time too, trying to finish my degree, and I had all my.
What did he say? He had a high IQ. So what was going on with him then? Like to be to himself. A lot of children are shy growing up. What was really going on with this kid mentally? His thought process. He didn't have a lot of friends. Well, that would show, I don't know how to dissect the situation. Not a psychiatrist or a doctor. So he didn't gravitate well with children, other kids. Well, that means he didn't have a childhood. But then you say he played karate, ran track. Well, you're going to be around other kids when you do that, though. So the situation is all over the place. IEP. Is that not slower classes? Maybe I got that mixed up. Something's, I don't know. I don't know what, I don't know where this is going. I don't know where this is going.
My books, oceanography and stuff like that, and he was interested in, when he was little, he was looking at my college textbooks and I taught him to read. And he was reading at probably 5th or 6th grade level when he went into 1st grade.
Well,
He has a marvelous vocabulary.
Well, he wasn't that slow then.
He has a great mind for history. If something interests him, he goes all in to research it.
So yeah, if he's passionate about something, he will let that focus. I mean,
He becomes an expert.
You gotta-
Okay.
Get passionate about whiskeys. Ask him anything about whiskeys. Ask him anything about teas. Just Steph, go to the liquor store. And if you got this much knowledge, put it to use. Then you get involved in these games and what have you. Boy, if you're not focused on something, just laser focus. And
Well, see, that's the point about games. Games is imaginary. That's for people who people get detached from reality that play video games. That's why it's dangerous to be wrapped up in video games. It's all the same. Video games, horror movies. Some people get detached. They don't know how to turn it off. You also hear her say he was volatile as a child. Is that because of his developmental issues? What? Then he has a head injury that probably didn't make it any better. Let me look up something right quick. The IEPs. I don't want to quote anything wrong during this live stream. Thank you all so much for joining me. Make sure I get this information correct. Woo, it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning here. East Tennessee. Hold on, let me look this up. Because I might have said something wrong pertaining to what it means, IEP. IEP stands for Individualized Education Program, which is a plan that outlines the student's educational needs and services. An IEP is created for students with disabilities, okay, who are enrolled in elementary or secondary school. It includes the student's current performance levels, student's goals, the student's educational placement, and other services and student will receive. So he was an IEP, so he had an IEP plan. It says it's for a child with an identified disability who's attending elementary, secondary educational institution, receives specialized instruction, related services. So this is what's so weird. She said he could read at a good level. He liked history, good at memorizing things, but then he also had a disability. So what is the disability? Also volatile when he was young, ran track, karate. What age did he do that? Then he had an accident. Need to know the age of that. That might also topple into what's going on with him. This wanting to be grooming children. See, everything starts in childhood to get us where we are today. So I'd like to know more information about those activities, running track, so on and so forth. Karate. But yet she says he didn't have a lot of friends. But yet he's involved in activities that has children in it. So that's weird. And most recluses from grade school on up, if they don't want to be around people, they're not going to be involved in track, soccer, you understand what I'm saying, gymnastics. This is some strange shit. I don't know what's going on.
That really, at your early ages, we came down from Georgia to Disney World, and he got the key to the liquor bar, and he stayed there focused until he got that key and unlocked it. At 3 years old. I mean, he was like that.
Maybe he didn't need the IP until after it was hit by a car. I'm assuming elementary. They didn't tell us how old he was when he got hit by a car.
He was very, very open with us that he wanted more candy because we bribed him with candy all the way down on the plane. We were waiting for the car to come to get the car seat put in, jump seat for him. And I'm gonna let you tell it because I saw that.
So we're in the car, we're on the way to this dinner, and he's in the back seat wearing a sailor suit. And I want candy. No, Stephan, I'm looking at the rear. No, Stephan, camera on the way to dinner. I want to go to dinner. I want candy. No, you can't have candy. And he goes, I looked at my rearview mirror, I looked at her, and just started laughing, and I said, no candy. And so everybody's complimenting how cute he looks with him, and so I gotta tell you a cute story. He had obsessed with stuff sometimes, but,
And I am loud.
Alrighty, Clark, following me.
So hear her, she's the dominant one. And hear her say, I'm the one that's loud. So he didn't get his mother's personality. Maybe he got it from his father. Something went wrong. Most definitely, something went terribly wrong with Stephan STERNS. Don't know the age.
I am loud. When I'm frustrated, I yell. I don't scream. Somebody floats that I'm a screamer. I don't scream, I yell. If you hear a scream, I'll show the scream. But,
she's Irish.
yes,
Do not upset the Irish.
I am Irish. I have Irish temper.
Was she abusive? She's Irish temper. You heard Miss Lieberman say that on Court TV the other day. Usually people with this type of behavior, pedophilia, they have an abusive mother. Very interesting. Now we hear it out of her own mouth that she's the loud one. So it doesn't mean that you're necessarily abusive because you're loud, but was she abusive to Stephan STERNS and her other son? Did she complain a lot? Bitch, moan. Why aren't you doing this? Leave us alone. Clean up your room. Blah, blah, blah. Because you hear she say he's a slob. So if he's a slob at 38, 37, 38, he was arrested at 37, he's now 38. He was a slob at 6 years old, 8 years old. Stay woke, everybody. She probably complained a lot. What's the dynamic between she and her husband? Is he the type that he's just goes along with the flow? He doesn't rock the boat with his mother. What she says goes. Everybody dances by Mrs. Stern's music. Could this be part of the problem why we have this monster now arrested?
I go from 0 to below real quick.
There you go.
And I do yell.
She's the problem.
I do not abuse her physically, but I yelled. Most of the time I'm yelling from one room to another, but I yelled.
A former DI in the Air Force.
Yeah.
And she tried that on me very early in our marriage, and I said, no, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna fall for that.
We made a pact when we got married, because we got married, we didn't know each other. We knew each
We got married, we didn't know each other. Well, he found out about you, didn't he? So it's something about you that led Mr. Stern to want to marry you. She said she wasn't abusive. Well, we already know that's her perception. Nobody's going to admit they were abusive to their husband, wife, children. Why would I tell you that? She just said, I go from 0 to 100, quick. So you don't think your tongue couldn't have been sharp in raising your child, being a mother, a wife? Of course. And that might have been the problem with this boy. Fear. He may have feared his mother. Danced by her music, got out of the way when she started yelling, screaming. Because in her mind, she may have felt like, well, I didn't put my hands on him, I didn't beat him up. But your tone can make a child fearful. Because you got to remember, you're a bigger person. He's a little person at the time. Scared to rock the boat with you. Oh, better get out of her way. She'll go to 0 to 100. Yes, Flora. Yelling at kids is considered abusive. Right, she yelled, period. So, but that's what I'm trying to explain. A person yelling don't see it like that. They just think, oh, I'm angry, I gotta get it out. But then you also gotta remember, if you're yelling, you're also saying things while you're yelling. You're not just saying, oh, like, come on. You're saying something while you're yelling. What was she saying? Because the abuse could be in the words. Damn it, stop that, F that. God, you all are so stupid. You don't got no sense, and you hear something negative a lot, you start to believe it, right? Self-fulfilling prophecy. You're a moron, you're a dummy. Stay woke.
5 weeks on the phone. We met again at our junior high school reunion. Got married 6 weeks later. I was in California, he was in Georgia. Again, the rates changed to 8 o'clock my time, 11 o'clock his time, and he called me. So we did our courting on the phone, and we got married, drove across country in my 240Z to the Gills.
240Z. I fly out to California, she's got all these boxes piled up in the family room. I go, that's going with us. 240Z. So let me tell you what's going in there. Cases of course, because you can get course west of the Rockies, east of the Rockies, and my golf clubs. But these boxes are not going to fit in that 240Z. It's just you, me, the beer, and the golf clubs. That's it. And we drove across country to that thing. Wow. But anyway.
But
we digress.
He told me, he says, whatever you do, we owe it back to you. Because I slapped him once.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you want me to slap you back? I said, no. I said, don't slap me. He said, so whatever you do to me, I'm going to do to you. So the next time I got mad, I dumped popcorn on his head.
Mm-hmm.
He picked up the bowl, some left, he dumped it on my head. I said, all right, I get it. And we have never We don't fight like that anymore. We sit down and talk
Mm-hmm.
when we're calm enough to finally sit down and talk.
Right.
There's a lot of ego in my life.
5 minutes later, it's over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot about it.
No, there's no grudges held, but with him, it's you never know. It's like my mother, you never know when something's going to trigger him that reminds him of something he was mad at you before, and then he gets mad about that all over again. And she did too. I don't see any reason to do that,
Tell me about his relationships growing up, as far as.
So she's talking about him staying mad about old stuff.
but
Did you date much?
I know some. I know.
She would go more me.
Oh, the grudge.
Okay, his
Stephan.
first real love was Kendall, and that was in California. And that's
So they live in
What?
California.
High school.
High school.
Yeah.
early high school, like freshman year,
Okay.
Yeah, 15, 16.
yeah, and that was, we loved Kendall, and Kendall loved him, he loved her. That was the only reason he didn't want to leave California, was because Kendall was gonna be there. And,
Were they the same age?
yes,
Yes.
And then when we came to Florida, there was this
crazy girl.
other relationships that were just short, nothing.
Nothing on her.
Yeah, I just cycled through a bunch of girls, and the guys he was hanging out with didn't approve of them because they just seemed like no motivation, no drive. I grew up with the. I grew up in Winter Park. I hung out with the elite people in Winter Park. The Showalters and the Vanellos and what have you. I worked at the hardware store, Miller Hardware in Winter Park, and so, I had drive. I wanted to get ahead, and I associated with the Metacop kids. He never did. I never approved them. They were just lazy, looking for the next party, looking for the next hit of marijuana. But so there was just a cycle of those people all the time. But nobody studied that we were aware of.
You could bargain.
So you see, the father thinks very highly of himself. He had drive, he said, to be something in life. So is the older son more driven, more professional, more go-getter, got his shit together? Now imagine your baby son has these issues he's had, accident. I don't hear about what the accident is, what age it was, but he's not a go-getter. He doesn't have any drive. He's a slob. He keeps his room nasty. He's a grown man. Still living at home, almost 40 years of age, but you allowed that. So that's the whole thing. No matter whatever he had developmentally wrong with him, mentally, social skills, you still allowed this grown man to navigate under your wing. At some point, you should have pushed the bird out of the nest. Got him some help. See how you start is how you finish. Now you have a son about to face the death penalty. This is serious. The whole child is gone because of your son. So somewhere something went wrong in his head. Now, we got to figure out when it went wrong. Because people aren't going to really tell you everything that went on with their children and themselves as not to look bad. But right now, if you were listening to these people, you really wouldn't think they're talking about somebody that's a pedophile. Because naturally, the officer is asking them to give them information about how he was growing up. So they're reminiscing. But the sad part of the story is that kid is no longer a kid, and he is now a walking, living thing that is not human. That's the sad part of the story. And a child is no longer alive because of this thing. So whatever memories they had of their son, good, it's past tense. It's past tense. And I'm sure they're going over that. Where did we go wrong? Why didn't we do more? Were there signs that he liked kids? Was he abused as a child by somebody we didn't know about? A lot of questions. Will they find the answers? Or do they care? That's one of you saying in the chat. They seem to care more about their belongings, the gun, this and that, the car, versus this little girl.
with him. All of his friends were getting tattoos. Chase decided that they were all going to get branded with 521, their 521 club in Windermere. He had the brand on his side. They did it with coat hangers.
Oh my God,
And I
coat
said,
hangers.
if you promise not to get tattoos, then for your 18th birthday, I will take you to a tattoo parlor and I will get you something that's meaningful. You don't want Dice or Popeye or something stupid that you're going to wear when you're 70. I said, what do you want? He said, I want the coat of arms. I said, I will do that for you. But you let me pick the tattoo parlor because I want to make sure they're clean, they're reputable, and I will pay for it. And he did. And he didn't give any other tattoos beyond that. And it's on his right back shoulder. And I said, don't put it someplace where it's obvious.
I know you said that you didn't necessarily approve of some of these friendships, and then you said he dated a crazy girl or one or two.
She was crazy.
Were there any inappropriate relationships with females? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Never.
Did you ever see a change in what he was attracted to?
No.
Well, I didn't know what he was attracted to.
He was attracted to boobs.
Yeah, but I don't know what he was attracted to.
Big boobs.
It was very,
Well, she had boobs. The dead girl.
I can't recall, other than one or two girls at our house, that there were groups of people when that was there, but I don't even know who he dated and per se. I mean, there was one girl that was a steady for a while, but other than that, I don't know who he dated because he dated outside the house and they didn't come to our house.
He didn't think he had hookups.
Oh, whatever.
The thing is that the girls initiated them. They were calling him all the time. He was calling them. And then this wingman, Chase, was laughing one day. He said, boy, I'm glad Stephan's my friend. I said, why? He says, because he attracts all the girls and I get the ones he doesn't want.
What's Chase's last name?
Leonard.
Leonard?
Leonard.
Do you know?
Leonard.
Oh.
Leonard. Leonard.
He live around here or?
Well, he was, I don't know where he does, but he was.
He called into that awful website, Great Hughes Investigations.
He called into it?
He called into it. People are calling into it, saying stuff about him I've never heard, never witnessed, never known. And
That's what they do.
and I am being flayed.
Welcome to YouTube.
When we think of home, we feel safe and comforted. And with mobile banking,
Yep, welcome to YouTube, ma'am. That's what they do. They call it YouTube. Tell the YouTuber the latest gossip. He said, she said. Don't know what's the truth or not. It's what people do. Soup up shit, lie. Never know what's the truth. There'll probably be some more people doing it upcoming months and years, depending on how long it takes to get this to trial. It's the way it is.
Being flayed. Being flayed. Because, as I said, I'm young. But I never do anything bad past him. Bad anything except save them.
Never did anything bad to
You
her
touched
children.
on Stephan and Jen's relationship.
Yeah.
Tell us about Stephan and Maddie's relationship.
Maddie called him dad. The last time that they were here, Stephan was sitting in this chair.
How bad is that?
Jen was here. Maddie was on that side, and she was leaning over with her arm around Stephan's shoulders and petting him with her hand, you know, because she was getting ready to go to sleep. So she came in to get her hugs and kisses all night from her way. That's the. I mean, he didn't really interact with her.
Yeah,
In front of you guys.
in front of you guys, right? Exactly.
Did she act that way towards Jen too at that same time?
She came down a hug and kiss from Jen too. She even gave, I think she.
You was stupid enough.
that she gave you hugs.
What, you want him to pet her, private slices in front of you?
Did you see any changes in Maddie over the years in her personality?
No, we talked about that the other night. It's like There was nothing visible, noticeable about it, change in her attitude, demeanor, what have you. And again, we hadn't seen Maddie since maybe early 23. I think at the same time Jen got her car and they came down for a night. Didn't notice anything out of the ordinary. Seemed like all the experiences that we had observed in the past. You know, happy kid, playing with the dogs, and either watching TV in there, going to bed, or floating around there.
Did you know her to be on prescription medication?
No, I did not, not at that time. She was just starting it. That was something that was worrying Jen a lot. She was just starting to show the bipolar. And they thought that was why she was becoming so combative with Jen.
I know you touched on it earlier, but you said Stephan didn't have that, to your knowledge, Stephan didn't have access to your storage unit.
To my what?
To your
No,
knowledge.
to my storage unit. No,
Who all has access to it? Just you.
just me.
I don't even have a key to it.
And when I ask access, is it a code to get into the secured gate and then a padlock?
Yes,
Okay. And only you have those codes.
I have the code. It's in my phone as a contact record, but as far as I know, he didn't have that code. Now, I am missing a key. I have been missing the second key for over a year. So when they first started telling me about he came down to access the unit, I started thinking, well, that explains where the other key is. But I could have lost it, but I had no idea where the key is. And the only way to know whether or not anybody else.
Well, if he was going in that storage unit, Mr. Stearns, Stephan Stearns, what was he doing in it exactly? Imagine everybody getting their phones checked, worrying about what somebody's going to see and hear in their conversations, iCloud, all of that. That's why I say you never know what situation you're going to be into where law enforcement would have to go in your phone, check out your searches, this and that. And also we can talk about the drug situation. That drug he searched, did he ever get access to the drug? Did he drug the young girl? Why was he searching that particular drug, Stephan Stearns? Did he want to incapacitate Madeline Soto because he realized he didn't have control over her anymore? It was going to be a problem to continue doing what he had been doing to her. How often was he molesting the girl child? And also what's even more macabre is that they didn't go down to this house a lot, to his parents' house, but the thought that he's there in a bed with Jen and he's been molesting this girl child and they're all under the roof now of another house, his parents' house, and he probably was wishing and fantasizing about wanting to go in that room and have his way with this little girl. But he knew he couldn't do it. But you've got people who would have risked it. Going in a room trying to touch, get a cop a feel. And they say they noticed nothing between the child and their son. Imagine that. Because there are certain people who do pick up on behavior that doesn't look appropriate between a child and a grown-up. This family says they didn't notice anything peculiar. Do you believe that?
Access that is if the storage unit printed out it. And because I don't access it that often.
Yeah, they
So
all
I was
barking.
here the morning that the storage unit was searched. Is there anything of like tremendous value in there? I know there's a bunch of bins, I see a few suitcases and stuff like that.
Yeah, just overflow from the garage.
Some Christmas.
I was gonna go over and look to see if anything had been moved because I couldn't imagine Stephan going in there. There should have been a bunch of dog crates piled up, and it's packed. Other than just a small section between the bulk stuff and the racks that I have there, where I have access to.
You did have some boxes of this stuff.
Yes, but it's way so far back that he would have to empty the whole storage unit out to get it.
Well, there might have been something in there he wanted to get out of there.
And it's, well, that's too much work.
Throw away.
He wouldn't be willing to do that much work.
You would if you didn't want to get caught.
He wouldn't do it.
Child pornography. Which that is what they found.
Did you guys ever witness or hear him looking up inappropriate stuff on the internet?
I have no idea because we never had access to his rooms.
He didn't use our computers, he had
Obviously his room is over here. Do you mind if we look?
Yeah.
Is it the same way it was, pretty much?
No, we started clearing it out because it's just, he's existed there, we haven't touched that room. At this point, he said, well, there's no way in hell he's ever coming back here, we're just going to gain access back to this room.
We gave the other police complete access to it before we touched anything.
I was gonna say,
And the
oh
stuff
God.
that I had thrown away, the trash off of his big table, I had left there in a bag, and I said, this is all I have done at this point, and if you want to go through the bag, you do it.
Why would you be touching
So we're
anything
just getting
anyway?
rid of clothes and then trash that's in there, and then like I said, it's going to take a while for us just to get in there and sort it out and figure out if there's anything of value that could be sold, and so, but it's pretty much saying us that he had left it in.
That's all I have for you.
I got the floor swept a little bit.
You mind if we take a picture of it?
Oh, yeah, if you want to, go ahead.
Do you mind if I take a picture of your notepad? Of your
Well, I'll just give it a notice.
You want to bring a copy of it? In case somebody else wants to know the same information.
I can go do that. Okay, to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Should've went in that room touching nothing.
I have the original pictures of the room before I touched it, if you want to see those, or I can send you copies of it.
Yeah, if you don't mind. There's my card. If you want to email them to me, that might be the easiest.
All up in there messing with stuff. They know they weren't supposed to be touching nothing in that room.
I took pictures because it was so disgusting. It'll take a while, we've got a week's worth of pictures.
Yeah, no worries.
We do a lot of pictures. Do either of you like Trump?
I'd rather hold my opinion to myself, especially being on the record.
I'm not gonna say it on the record, I was just gonna show you something cute.
Can I make a personal observation?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Pretty small.
That is fine.
Oh, so when this thing came down Wednesday, afternoon, we meet with the detectives and then personal escort, what have you, and then everything was started at 4 o'clock. 4:04, I get a text message. Finally, I get a text message from Jen trying to
Let me see what did he ask. What did he ask? What did she ask?
It'll take a while, we've got a week's worth of pictures.
Yeah, no worries.
We do a lot of pictures. Do either of you like Trump?
I'd rather hold my opinion to myself, especially being on the record.
I'm not gonna say it on the record, I was just gonna show you something cute.
Can I make a personal observation?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Pretty small.
That is fine.
Oh, so when this thing came down Wednesday, afternoon, we meet with the detectives and then personal escort, what have you,
Talk
and then
about
everything
Donald
was
Trump.
started at 4 o'clock. 4:04, I get a text message. Finally, I get a text message from Jen trying to figure out what the F is going on. And she texted me and said, get Stephan a lawyer now. Okay. Why?
They can't afford
And she
$600
says,
rent.
well, they have found these images on Stephan's phone that there's sex acts between Maddie and Stephan. And I go, and I disbelief, you go, okay. And I asked her how long, and she said 2 years.
Oh, 2 years.
And,
Okay.
and she said
Where'd that come from?
something to the effect, he-
Well, they're saying they got 2 years of photos, so why are they going back saying 5 years when she was 8? So what's the truth? Was he molesting her at first, but wasn't taking pictures? but then started taking photographs 2 years before. I'm confused. That's very interesting. Pictures date back to 2 years. So what we got to ask ourselves, did he molest the girl when he first got with the mother or not, but just didn't take pictures? But at some point, maybe he decided, I'm gonna start filming this and photographing my acts. Scary.
Something to the fact that he needs a lawyer out. And I thought, that was just really weird.
Why is that weird?
And so a few hours later, she kind of comes out of the I'm communicating with her before this, and said, I gotta go get something to eat, and gotta use the restroom, the station's locked up, we can't get in. And she said, well, just go up to the wall or something. I said, okay. And the next thing you know, oh, they're gonna let me out to go get something to eat. So she comes out, and demeanor is just matter of fact, everything's fine. And we get in the car, and we're talking, and we go to get something to eat. And I kept thinking, this is a woman that just learned that her child had been sexually abused for the last 2 years. And
Right.
she's acting towards me like nothing's happened. And it's like another day, another evening out, we're just spending time together. That entire time, then I take her back to the police station, and then she's done with her interview. The detectives come out and say, hey, we want to talk with you. I said, fine, so we have a conversation with me. Arrange for her to get in the car to stay with Sailor. And I go up and have my conversation with Alex, and then I go back to the car, and I want to take her back home because she needs a ride home. And even her demeanor coming out with the detectives is just like, everything's fine. And
Did she act like that during previous contacts with you guys, whether it be last month, last year? Was it the same kind of interaction?
Yeah, if anything, this is the most interaction I've ever had with her. Because when she came here, I never really interacted with her unless we had meals together. And so we're leaving and I'm taking her home. And I kept thinking as we're talking, I'm expecting her to just blow up
Right.
and start beating the shit out of me or scratching me or chewing my ass out. But no, none of that. I kept waiting for this.
Exactly. Why care?
And in fact, as we're leaving, before we went downstairs to the lobby, Stephan handed me his pocket knife and said, you better hang on to this. That's okay. And then I threw it into the console of my car, so I'm leaving and I look down and I see this knife and I go, call Alex and say, hey, Stephan gave me his knife that's got it in the console. Maybe you should have it. So I swung back around and took it to her, and I didn't get any questioning from her. What are you doing that for? And I kind of expected that, but I did. Grabbed the piece of paper, gave it to Alex, gave the statement, we left, took her back. And, everything, she's acting just too normal. It doesn't seem, it is acting abnormal because she shouldn't be that way. Her demeanor should be entirely different. And then she goes on to tell me that Stephan was sexually frustrated because she and Stephan were not having sex. Her medication changed. She didn't have any interest in sex, and so there was no sexual engagement between the two of them. And I said, well, this is really unusual conversation to hear this from a mother that.
Exactly. I gotta stop there. 11 more minutes. Who would have this conversation with the suspect's father? Basically, she's excusing what he has done to her child. Well, he was messing with her because we weren't compatible. I didn't want to do the things he wanted to do. So he did it with my daughter, and then he killed her. Basically, that's what she's saying to this man in a roundabout way. This is not a normal conversation. Your child is dead. You just found out there are images on the phone with your man and your child. And now you're having a conversation with his father that he was sexually frustrated with her, the world, whatever. Hell, did you also tell him that you didn't like having anal sex and you want to just divulge personal stuff? That's why you know there's something wrong with Jennifer Soto. She knew all along what was going on between her child and this man. Whatever time it started, she knew, condoned it. Nobody in their right mind is going to send a child in a room with a grown-ass man. Nobody's going to allow a man to sleep in the bed with her and her child. I don't care how old the child is. No, 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 and no. Bottom line. Bottom line. She knew all along what was going on. And that's why I say there's no telling really what happened in the house. Because we don't really know if the girl died on the 25th or the 26th. We don't know who hit who did what, if there was a fight, a struggle. We don't know. We just know she was strangled. But her behavior right here, from the father, he's basically saying she was more concerned about the son, his son. Stroking his hair, all that stuff, he's mentioned that too. In the interrogation, as if this man ain't just killed her child and been penetrating her child. Jennifer Solo knows a whole lot more, and I won't doubt she is involved in whatever the fuck went on in that house over the years and that fateful night morning. She's complicit because this isn't normal behavior. Why would you care about if this man hires his son a lawyer? You wouldn't give a fuck about Stephan STERNS. And you probably wouldn't want to be talking to this man. Just like he said, I was expecting her to start scratching me, hurting me, beating me up. I'm the daddy. Exactly. Take it out on somebody. But no. She's more worried about this and that and getting this. And, oh, get him a lawyer. He's going to need it. Blah, blah, blah. That's why the cop is saying, well, her demeanor wasn't the same as it was when you last saw her at your house. Yes. I didn't interact with her much, but yes, it was the same demeanor. Because she knew all along what was going on with her child and his man. And like I said, she's complicit. She knew that girl was dead. She knew her child was dead when they took her to school. Pretended to drive to school and come back and all this riding around in the car and shit. That woman knew all that shit. So now we gotta wait to see if somebody can put her getting in the car with the dead girl and Stephan, with the security guy say they all drove out together at 7:35. We will wait to see.
You know, if you asked anybody else, you know, what would your reaction be? And said, I would be batshit crazy beating somebody up.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And that was not the case. So then I saw the interview. I said, you know, I keep thinking, if I saw that interview Tuesday and they called me, I said, no effing way would I have gone to Orlando. Because I would have seen for myself, like everybody else did on YouTube, too, they weren't buying the story. And what I saw Stephan doing was a repeat of what he had talked to me about on Monday evening. And,
Thank you.
I was just, I couldn't, her mannerisms were exactly what I saw and observed Wednesday evening, you know, if not even better, you know. I was just in disbelief as to how she spoke and how she handled herself at the point when the bird came into the scene and was squawking and doing whatever, and everybody paused and you waited, and then it stopped, and then she smiled, and I said, well, that's an unusual response to smile about this bird. And so the whole demeanor was just way off. But then, you know, it carried forward into Wednesday. I don't think I would have come up, but then I would have learned some other things about her had an outcome. But it's like, why was I brought to Orlando? Unless to get me out of the house.
Which left me here alone.
So I have no idea.
So you watched his interview that he gave to the news, right?
Yeah.
Because you said that was roughly what he told you on the phone.
Yeah.
What was his reaction like to you? Did it seem genuine? Did it seem...
You know, it was very difficult to tell when he was, I could never tell if he was lying to me or not. I mean, it was very difficult. I just, at one point, I just said, you know what? If his lips are moving, he's lying, and I'll never get the truth out of him, and there's no way of breaking him. You know, we're missing our Rolex. You know, where did that come?
My father's Rolex.
So, you know, he would never fess up to that. And again, where did all this money come from? Where's his Omega watch? You know, so I'm assuming where all this money was coming from is that maybe he sold off his Omega, maybe he sold off the Rolex, which I find shocking. He would sell that Rolex first before he would sell his Omega, because that's how much he cherished that watch. He inherited some money and immediately went out and spent $7,000 on a watch like he really needed to. You know, so I have no idea where that was. but he was very impulsive. He couldn't wait. You know, if he wanted something somehow, some way, he got it.
Do you guys have ties to the same club?
No,
Do what?
same cloud. No,
Same
we
cloud.
have no ties.
You
Same
don't tie to
cloud.
the same club?
Yeah,
Any reason why he would have went there?
I have no idea. Other than the fact that maybe he's just trying to get as far away as possible. I mean, I have no idea. But based on what I've seen on TV, I can see where the flat occurred and where he had to drive this 2 miles back to the hard surface. Maybe something happened. He drove that rubber right off that wheel. I have no idea why he was down there.
Obviously not an easy question. Do you think he was capable of doing what he did?
I would, if you had asked me Sunday, I would have said no. Never in a million years. He loved that child that was supposed to be his stepdaughter. They stayed together. He helped raise her. He was not allowed to discipline her. Maddie did that. Jim did that, but he acted as a peacekeeper. But no, and to kill her, no. I did. If I had to put forward a guess, I would think that it was accidental. I think that. I know it's stupid. I guess I'm Irish.
Yes, it is
I have
stupid what you're saying.
Precognition, yes, they come true, but I did have a dream, and in that dream, they were in Stephan's room and in Maddie's room, unclothed. Jim came in to wake her up. I was confronted by the fact that they were together in a way they shouldn't have been. And I think a struggle ensued and she either hit her head or broke her neck. So I don't think could have been a gunshot because everybody would have heard it. I think stabbing, you found blood, so that's the only thing I could think. And then.
Did you hear this? I had a dream. So when did you have the dream? Before this girl went missing or afterwards? Mommy. She walked in and saw them doing something. Well, I think she already knew they were doing something. But that's an interesting dream. So did it go like that, everybody? Mommy came home and Stephan and Madeline were engaged in a sexual act and she went ballistic. She's bipolar, she's upset, she's off her medicine. The day before, that Saturday, she went haywire on her child. Then she's beating him up too. She started strangling her daughter. But let's be truthful. How easy would it be for him to pull the daughter off of her? And wouldn't the roommates be wondering what the hell all this commotion's about? Somebody would have jumped up and came out of the room. Hey, what's going on? What's going on here? What y'all fussing and tussing about? So that don't sound right either. Or the child was already dead when Jen got home. And he tucked her in the bed, nice and neat. I don't know how it went. But I know that conversation about her getting in her little nest, that don't sound right. She's in her nest in the same bed with you. But next, you're dumping her laptop and belongings, book bag, and a dumpster at 7:35, 7:40 in the morning. Help us understand what happened to her. Basically, you put a dead girl in a car. So we got to ask what happened, what was the jump out, how'd you get her out the house without nobody noticing a dead girl? So you carried a dead girl out of the house dressed with one shoe on? Oh, that's right, no shoes. So you threw one shoe in the garbage can. Make it make sense. The other shoe found in the mother's room. It's very sick. We also got information that the girl said she was uncomfortable about being around Stephan STERNS. So did this little girl come into her own where she just got tired of being a sex toy for this man? Tired of her mother riding around, knowing what was going on. Maybe she said something to these people. And they had to hush her up, silence her. So she wouldn't tell anybody. I don't know.
Yes. she would have told Stephan, and my agreement was, this is all your fault. You caused this is all your fault. You have to fix it.
We think he's being the front person on this and falls out of sword and just definitely complicity or something like that. That's what we think.
So then you believe that Jen would have prioritized your son more than her own daughter?
Yes,
Yeah.
Why?
because she didn't have anybody else.
Well, I think they did a pact.
I think they
And again,
decided who's gonna
look at her hugging him and consoling him at that interview, knowing full well what the truth is. And I think Stephan's decided to be the fall guy in this because he's feeling remorse over the inappropriate relationship he had with Maddie, and that since if he's going to be discovered in this, that he's going to be the front guy in this. She's just as culpable as he is in this.
The other thing is that as a mother, I have seen that child cry. You do not fake the sound in his voice, the clogged sinuses that he was dealing with. The man was sick. No. I don't know if she just feels vindicated that she took care of it. I don't know.
Well, she said she knows the sound of her son crying and that it was genuine. Do you all believe that his tears were genuine? I don't think people can believe it's genuine because they asked him in interrogation, did he go back out and drive around the same night she went missing? And he said no. So how can he be genuine crying but lie to the police about, one, dropping her off, places that he went, how he got the flat tire, where he got the flat tire, taking the car to go back out to the crime scene, the disposal. So how can he be genuine and crying, sinuses clogged, but yet spend a whole lie about a little girl? Sorry, mommy, that can't be accurate. He's sorry he's caught, but can't tell you, yeah, I did kill her. Jen's involved too. He can't tell you that. But I did ask you all earlier in the poll, do you think he's confessed to these people some type of way through a lawyer or a note or something or beforehand, what? I don't know. I think the mother's involved. I do believe she knew the girl was dead. That I do believe. But did she kill her? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Don't know.
But I know that he's the only one that's feeling any remorse or any sorrow for that child, and she's not.
I told Jenny when I left Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, I said, do we really have our son? Because at that point, I didn't know what the question was.
Apparently not, from some of the stuff that's coming out of these calls into Ray Hughes.
But
I mean, stuff that one kid said that we were providing him with Hustler magazines. We've never had a Hustler magazine in our house. We don't have booze in our house unless it's for people to come to visit. We don't drink. Don't do drugs. Don't smoke cigarettes anymore. Quit those when before I got pregnant with him.
Just a lot of, connecting the dots after the visit and what have you, and then seeing that interview, I was like blown away by that interview.
I think people are making some up just to be sensational.
Yeah.
It's the internet, you're gonna take it for what it's worth.
When do you think, well, I don't know if you can tell us or not. I see 3 milestones coming up that we have to prepare for the backlash, the autopsy, obviously the charges that come out afterwards, and then if the other shoe drops with Jen, and hopefully that happens where it diffuses some of this to where it needs to go as well.
I can answer one of those questions. The autopsy is done. Autopsy was done Saturday. But as for the other two, we can't really.
Yeah, I know you guys have to get your act together on that because And obviously, it's very important to the case in getting all that together.
You're not gonna tell us how she died, are you?
No, can't do that. They can't do that. Can't do that.
Wow.
When everything comes to
We need,
an ending,
we need a heads up because we already had people coming to the door with microphones and crap and fans out front and I'm getting hate mail, hate texts, hate phone calls. People saying some pretty awful things to me about being a rotten mother and
what we've explained to others that we have interviewed, we can't tell you guys what to do. All that we can do is ask is that if media contacts you or something like that, you don't want to contact them directly towards us. And then we will do, our department will handle the media. So
Northport's been great. They've actually they stepped up their control units here. They know what we're up against, so they've been very helpful.
you know, the Landrys were here, so they've been through this before in the last 2 years.
yes, they have. Yes, they have.
Isn't that strange? Tiny little Northport where people go to die. This is God's waiting room, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Bunch of old farts here, and we have 2 murders.
Well, it wasn't here.
It wasn't here, but still, they're chasing the parents. The Northport, well, the Landry kid came home and they helped him, so that's a little bit different. But still, I don't want to feel like I have to look over my shoulder all the time. I don't want to feel like I have a target on me. It's you have to have me else to get that out. When we get it out for you.
I got it. Well, like I said, I really do appreciate you guys speaking with us. Since it was, our conversations were recorded, swear everything that you told us was true and accurate to the best of your knowledge.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I knew there was a reason.
All right, that's the end of that conversation. I'll bring more commentary this week pertaining to Stephan, STERNS, Madeline, and Jennifer Soto. What do you all think about the information relayed in this audio? 3-hour-long live. Interject in between, sorry about that, but it's to help break up the continuity. Get a little feedback on what they're saying. Do you think they were good parents? Do you think they reared their child properly? Do you think this boy was assaulted at some point in life? Do you think the accident caused some type of brain malfunction for him to gear himself towards children? Do you think he had some type of interaction with children as a child? Sexual interaction that they don't know about? Don't know. Just curious. Was he assaulted as a child? Were his parents abusive or neglectful in any way in his upbringing? What's the truth to the information that they mentioned in this live stream, in this audio interview with the police? I'm sure they were on pins and needles wondering how she died at the time of this interview with the police, but he told them he couldn't tell them how she died. But she was like, oh, we just need a heads up. Well, people are going to think what they want. People are going to blame you. People are going to blame him. People are going to blame Jen. It's just the way it is. It's a sad situation. It really is. It's a sad, pathetic situation because all this could have been avoided had one, he got himself some help and had Jen done right by her daughter. So we have 2 people at fault. But who strangled the daughter? Who strangled the girl? Stephan STERNS or the mother? Or was it an equal partnership? Was this orchestrated by both or one? The mother came in and just covered up because he had to tell her, hey, I killed your kid. What's the truth? Very diabolical. Prayers for justice for this child. Because as I said, this is not the first in the last case you're going to hear of a child being abused by another adult, a parent, a girlfriend, guardian, relative, neighbor. You're going to hear again about another pedophile. You're going to hear again another story about a neglectful parent. It's every day. I don't know what to say. This is bad business here. Bad business. Flora says he was sad because he was caught. Yeah, I'm sure he was sad because he was caught. And like I said, his tears can't be genuine because he has lied from the moment he and the mother went to the police to say the little girl was missing. So there is no genuine tears, snifflings. It's bullshit. But you can't be genuine if you're lying to the police about what happened to the child. Oh yeah, I took him to the school, I did this, but they've already let him know that's not true. So him crying, he's crying for himself. What you see a lot of suspects do, they cry for self, cry that they're caught. They're not crying for the victim. If you cared for the victim, she wouldn't be dead. So that's number one. I think the dad is disgusted. The mom is strange though. Okay, well, I think the mom's headstrong. She's probably the dominant one. But the father let her know, I guess, hey, he wasn't going for her shenanigans. So he stayed with her. I guess they worked out whatever their differences were. But my thing is what happened with their son. Because something happened to the son. And you don't really know what's all the truth. Because everybody's not going to tell you everything about their relationships with a person. As you heard, somebody's calling in to that Hughes Investigates. And the mother saying some of the information is not the truth about their life with their son. What they had going on in their house. But look at what happened with Jennifer and this girl. Jennifer wasn't out here telling people what the fuck she was doing in her house with her daughter. So we don't expect to really get the whole truth of what was going on with them and their son growing up. And what they allowed in the house as far as pornography, books, tapes. For all we know, the father was watching porn, had some magazines, the boy stumbled across it, got hooked on pornography, because we hear that is the start of this type of behavior. Sadism starts with pornography, torture, abuse of animals, fire starting, abuse by parents, physical, mental, sexual. His behavior came from somewhere. It's a matter of when he started having thoughts of being with kids. Will we ever find out the truth? We will see. Will there be charges for Jen Soto? I hope so. She needs to be charged with gross negligence of a child. And if they have evidence to show that she also murdered the child, aided in the murder, bring her ass up, because she deserves it. I don't really care if they found out she did something physical to her or not. She's a catalyst to why the girl's dead. To me, she did murder her. That's exactly how I feel. Because there's no way in your right mind you could think it's okay for a child to be going in a room with a grown-ass man. For what reason? Sleep in the same damn bed. Then we hear it's a single bed at that. This is crazy. Just hearing it repeated, it makes you want to throw up. And then you got a roommate saying something to the mother. She don't do nothing about it. So she's making fun about a roommate and Stephan's mother. And yet you're sending her to go sleep in a single bed with a grown man. That's even worse. Because like I said the other night, it doesn't matter what size the bed is. Queen, single, it's still a bed with a grown man. But you now know, common sense, something was going on in a single damn bed. Twin bed. Come on now. This is horrible. She's nasty. Jen is nasty. But I think there's a whole lot more to Jen that probably equals and rivals Stephan's behavior. I bet there's a lot of hanky-panky been going on in her life. The fact they were talking about she had all these different partners. So that makes you wonder what type of people she had around her children even before Stephan came in. For all we know, she was still dating other people while she was messing around with Stephan. They break up, she go get her another man or woman. They were being around her children too. So see, for all you know, other people could have been messing with her daughter too. She could have been openly sexual in front of her daughter. They slept in the same bed, for God's sake. Come on now. So if Stephan sleeping in the bed with her and her daughter, if she had other partners, they were doing the same too. Why not? What's the difference? There isn't a difference. And if you'll aid this man to molest your child and kill your child, you would have done it with another woman, in a bisexual relationship, gay relationship, however you want to word it. It's all the same. I think there's a whole lot more to Jen. And I'm sure somebody's going to come out and tell it. But I won't doubt she was probably messing around with some of the women roommates she had. Since the mama said she's bisexual. And who told that? Stephan had to tell that. Who the hell tells somebody, oh yeah, by the way, I love your son, but I'm gay too. Bisexual. Come on. This case is all over the place. This is some grimy shit. This is some grimy street shit pertaining to a kid. that should not even be in a discussion. Live stream, audio, interview, nothing. This is why I keep saying why a lot of people don't need kids. Because they've got some vices about themselves. They've got some ways about themselves. They're too overt in their drug activity, sexualities, the sexual conquest they're trying to get down with a man, a woman, a billy goat. They all over the place. Baby, you need to be single. You want to live that life of popping pills, smoking meth, heroin, crack. You want to sleep with a man, a dog, a cat, changing up partners. Be single and don't have no kids. You do what the hell you want to do. But this is not proper child rearing. Bringing different people in and out of your house with children is dangerous because you don't know them. And grown people get burned by people every day. So what do you think is going to happen when you bring those people around your children? Same thing. You'd like to donate to this great network. $McGangy 129 Cash App. Thank you all so much for joining me. Have a wonderful week. We'll post a movie of the week for your enjoyment. God bless all of you. Prayers for justice, Madeline. Soto. You've been listening to the Vault XL.